Welcome back to Providence. We have two teams tonight that feature the best offense and the worst offense in arena football. And the best is Pittsburgh. The worst is New England. They've got a strong-arm quarterback by the name of Harold Smith. But, Steve, they've had problems scoring points, especially when they get the ball down around the 10, 15-yard line.
I think rather erratic are the words that you used at the top of this broadcast. And I think that describes Harold Smith. He's a big, strong guy, however. He has been injured a little bit. Did not start last week's game. Only completed 39% of his passes, but as you said, strong arm can complete the passes.
They're looking to get some productivity out of their kicking game, and they've signed a new kicker, Bernie Ruoff, a veteran of the Canadian Football League wars. Dave Jacobs is gone as the football vagabond just continues to roll around.
Tough life of a kicker, but Ruoff is experienced, and he helped lead Hamilton to a Grey Cup back in 1986, so he knows what he's doing.
So, Bernie Ruoff, a new player and a key player tonight for the New England Steamrollers. You know, every week in arena football, we see something a little bit new, maybe a little bit different, and most of the time exciting. Let's check out some of the exciting plays now from arena football, and we'll start off with New York and Los Angeles. Jim Crocicchia, the New York quarterback, has his pass nearly intercepted by Wade Lockett of Los Angeles, but coughed up and grabbed by intended receiver Edwin Lovelady, who just strolls into the end zone. After a bad snap, former New England kicker Dave Jacobs bails out in this field goal attempt and then shows a bit of hustle, but too late to prevent New York's Johnny Shepard from scoring the touchdown. New York's Greg Best will pounce on this loose ball in the end zone after Jim Cradaville's field goal attempt careens off the net in the end zone. And, folks, this is a touchdown right there for New York. Now, Best gets involved again in one of the exciting plays as Crocicchia airs out this long pass, and look at this extension on the catch by Greg Best. It hurt a little bit, but it felt real good, too. And one of the best receivers in arena football, Dwayne Dixon, will take this pass from Rich Ingold off the net. And, yeah, folks, this is one of the exciting ways you can score in arena football. Not intended for Dixon, but in the right place at the right time. We'll be back with the start of tonight's game from Providence in just a moment.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
It's not vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
No, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for one low price.
Pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
He's got this all wrong. You want to make news of the cereal today, you need a gimmick. Putting a whole banana inside a little bran biscuit, stuff like that. These are just flakes. I don't think I've tasted anything like it. Simple, light, it's really very good. Well, how about that? A cereal that doesn't need a gimmick.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Corn Flakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
Introducing Stanley cordless tools with power that won't quit. Because unlike many other cordless tools, the new Stanley cordless drill and cordless screwdriver are designed with removable, rechargeable battery packs. So the only time they stop working is when you do.
This is Precious Cargo, telecommunications equipment on its way to Japan. On another day, it might be medical systems headed for Europe. We design and build that equipment. We're Siemens USA. 27,000 people, 47 manufacturing plants, and nearly $3 billion in sales and service of electronic and electrical equipment. And each year, 15% of that is worldwide exports from America. We are Siemens USA.
We're set to go from the Providence Civic Center. Rusty Fricky, the kicker for the Pittsburgh Gladiators, will tee it up on the goal line here in arena football. 8 yards in the end zone, 50-yard field. And back deep is number 9 for the New England Steamrollers, Brian Gardner. Pretty good receiver. Also one of the top kick return men in the Arena League. That is one of the things New England has done very well this year, is return kicks. And that one goes right through the uprights, which are just a little over 9 feet wide. And It'll be brought out to the 5-yard line, as is the rule in arena football. In New England offensively, looks like this. Smith is the quarterback. Cletus Jones, the running back. Jeff Oliver, the tight end offensive lineman. Jim Hockaday, Alvin Williams, Brian Gardner, the wide receivers. And then Joe Feldman, Kevin Murphy, the ineligible offensive lineman. And New England with a 1-5 record. And last week gave unbeaten Chicago a tough time before finally losing 30-21. But offense has been the problem for New England this year, last in the league offensively. As Smith will go to the far side, and on the quick hitter, a 5-yard gain. And the receiver over there, that was Alvin Williams, number 45. As we look defensively for Pittsburgh, Ernest Adams, Dave Opfar, who's been injury-plagued in recent weeks, and then Craig Walls up front. Stuart Mitchell's the defensive specialist tonight. Mike Powell, Russell Hairston, Brian Moran, and Julius Dawkins back in there. So their top 2 receivers, Dawkins and Hairston, also, Steve, start defensively, and that's one of the beauties of arena football.
And we will see how well they match up with the receivers, especially Hockaday on this New England team, and then turn right around and play offense in just a couple minutes.
Hairston's got Hockaday on the near side. That's where Smith's looking. That's where he goes. And the reception is made by Hockaday at the 20-yard line. Hairston on the tackle. And I was wondering, Steve, earlier today if we would see that matchup.
Well, I don't know if we'll see it all evening. I don't think Joe Herring wants to play anybody in particular on Hockaday. He just wants to get his cornerbacks out there, receivers/cornerbacks, and try to play the best single coverage they can play. Remember, again, Russell Hairston, of course, is a defensive back by trade out of the University of Kentucky. And now we are seeing a conference by the officials on the sideline because a flag was thrown by the zone official. There has been a new interpretation of an outside rush rule. So we'll get a ruling on that here in just a couple seconds.
Also, there's the official works over there with the assistant coaches as far as substitutions and players reporting in. For example, if a player comes in with a number of 50, 60 or whatever, and he's not a receiver but lines up in that offensive spot where there should be an 80.
No flag on the play. No flag on the play. 46 went out. We'll have to stay out for the rest of the quarter. 46 went out. He'll have to stay out for 5 minutes.
All right, that's part of the substitution ruling, that if you go out of the game, then you have to stay out, and that's a New England substitution there.
That was David Henley, who is number 46 for New England.
Now, he went out, so he has to stay out 5 minutes, and, of course, he's their defensive specialist. If they have to give up the ball here anytime soon, they could be in trouble defensively.
Smith airing it out deep, going for Hockaday. And a fine defensive play by Brian Moran. Hockaday was doing a good job. He saw the ball was slightly underthrown. He started to come back to it, but Moran was right there with him.
Moran is one of those kids who's a fine all-around athlete, and he's the one that drew the coverage on Hockaday this time. And as we saw at the top of our broadcast, Hockaday can stretch out and make catches like this, but Moran just sticking his hand in there at the last second, and another flag.
And they have moved the ball back 5 yards. And, well, the official apparently has forgotten to give us what the penalty was. Apparently it was a holding call, so 3rd down. Make it 1st down, excuse me, and 15, and that pass incomplete. Intended for Cletus Jones.
A little screen pass action, something else Babe Pirelli said that he had hoped to do a little bit of this evening, maybe run his quarterback, Harold Smith, if he could, and if he felt like Harold was healthy enough. Again, he did not start last week's game because of an injured shoulder. He wanted to come out early, try the screen pass. As you saw, both defensive ends rushing straight upfield, getting to the quarterback. He throws the ball, unfortunately, too far for his running back, Jones.
Well, so far this year, the New England Steamrollers with the fewest yards per game by the pass, just under 190 per game. And, of course, scoring the fewest points of any arena team. On a 2nd down and 15, Smith is hit just as he lets it go, and it will be intercepted. There is a player down as Smith as Russell Hairston. And a late penalty flag now as the official on the side comes out. And they're going to call an illegal zone on number 30, Stuart Mitchell, who is the defensive specialist.
Stuart Mitchell.
You can't talk to me. Get away, get away. Joe, we have an illegal blitz, number 30. Joe, defense. Get away. 5 yards. And a 1st down. Illegal zone defense number 30, okay?
All right, Stuart Mitchell and his teammates arguing about the illegal blitz call on number 30.
Apparently, Mitchell moved into the flat. He looped out, and that's illegal, so it's a first down and 10. The ball at the 20, and immediately a man jumps offside. There's a fumble, but that's going to be a penalty against the Pittsburgh Gladiators. And let's see who it was. Demon Trinko, it looked like.
Defense.
So we're off to a pretty sloppy start.
We're off to a stumbling start is what we're off to. Let's take a look at it. 98, the man on the nose is Demon Trinko. He's battled back from some injuries. Pittsburgh has had a number of injuries, and which brings us to a point. There are 19 men suited up tonight rather than the normal 18. And the 19th is just there really in case a team is decimated, as the clock will continue to run, of course, through the first quarter and the second quarter until the final minute of the first half and final minute of the game when it stops on out of bounds and incomplete passes. Hockaday's touchdown. And they rule it no good as the Pittsburgh Gladiators, Russell Hairston, is on the turf inside the 5. Watch some contact here, Steve.
I think Russell Hairston maybe stepped on an ankle back there, stepped on Hockaday's foot. He fell down. Hockaday had the ball in his hand, and as you said, it looked like a touchdown, but he lost it and then fell out of the end zone. Never had control in the end zone.
And Bill Njemi, the trainer for Pittsburgh, is mic'd up. Let's take a listen.
Turn it in. Yeah. Did you feel anything? Pop, snap, anything like that? Pop. Same thing? Worse than the original?
Not really, because there's tape on it at the time.
Okay.
You'll remember last week against Detroit, Hairston hurt an ankle in the end zone. And so Bill Njemi, the trainer, out taking a look at Russell Hairston. No touchdown. The pass was dropped. And we'll be back to Providence in just a moment.
You've seen how the advanced full-size Chevy half-ton stands up to Ford. And recently, maybe you've seen Ford's answer. But what you haven't seen is the latest news. Right now, full-size Chevy sales are on a rocket and growing faster than Ford's, which just goes to prove America knows the difference between a hot new truck and a lot of hot air. Make your switch to Chevy now with $500 cash back.
That's today's Chevy truck.
We're back in Providence, and Bill Njemi, the trainer for Pittsburgh, working on Russell Hairston. And the left ankle looked like he rolled it over, Steve.
Yeah, you see him right there.
Took a longer stride maybe than normal or something.
And tripping over Hockaday's ankle. Now, Hockaday, as a receiver, you've got that ball in your hands. You've got to bring that thing in. He just did not control it, and it slipped away from him.
Remember the last time we were here, Hockaday had a very, very difficult time holding onto the football, and that has been a problem for New England. A lot of mistakes this year. And consequently, they're 1-5 on the young season.
Well, we've been called bad luck by a lot of people.
2nd and 7. Smith has got Hockaday this time. And at the 15-yard line, Shepis makes the tackle. You said that Hockaday reminds you of who?
Steve Watson.
Yep.
The fine receiver for the Denver Broncos for years and years. They call him the Blade, and Hockaday reminds me of him. Tall, slender, good moves. Another flag going against the Steamrollers. They mark it off, and another reception called back.
I think we've only had one play without a flag.
That sounds about right.
And Bill Parkinson is not giving us the calls here, folks, so we're going to just have to bear with us. We'll try to remind Bill somehow. And we're told it is a holding call now. So it's 2nd and 12. 9:36. And Smith is sacked, and guess who?
Mr. 54, Craig I'll take him. No, you got him. I got him. Walls.
I like to call him the man that came to the grocery store. He's going to do a little sacking.
Well, if Carl the mailman Malone delivers, I wonder what Craig Walls does. I mean, this guy,
he stuffs.
He really does. He is really tough.
10.5 sacks now in the year.
He just runs right around the offensive line there for New England. That was Kevin Murphy trying to block him to no avail. But he shouldn't feel bad, Murphy, because Walls has gotten around just about everybody else in this league as well.
3rd down and 20 now. And Pittsburgh hasn't had the football yet. Smith going deep to Hockaday, and Hockaday lost it. The ball went up in the stands, and that means the fans get to keep it. So Smith may be a little shaken up from the previous play. That's what you call a dying quail, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, you get out the gun and you go boom, boom at it, and everybody has a good laugh, except, of course, Jimmy Hockaday, who just ran 40 yards downfield to try to make a catch and never did see that pass.
Now let's take a look at Bernie Ruoff here, a veteran of the Canadian Football League. Played out his option up in Canada so he could get a crack at the National Football League at 36 years of age.
Now, they gave Dave Jacobs his walking papers, but fear not, Syracuse fans, because Bernie Ruoff, a Syracuse graduate.
That might have been partially blocked, and Moran's going to take it from about 6 yards deep in the end zone, up the near side across the 15 to the 18-yard line. A 54-yard attempt is short, and we'll be back to Providence with more arena football in just a moment.
Hi there. You looking for Mr. Wright?
Give this guy a light. And Bud Light here.
Ask for Bud Light, the light beer with the first name and taste. Because everything else is just a light.
Thanks. Keep the change. I should have bought a Frigidaire.
There's only one Frigidaire.
I should have bought a Frigidaire.
Ask for it by name.
I'll take the Frigidaire. Now.
Frigidaire. Here today, here tomorrow.
Ooh, it's hot.
ESPN heats up your summer in and out of the water with Hot Tuesday nights. Each week, pro surfers take you on a ride you'll never forget. Professional water skiers scorch the surface with treacherous jumps, then hit the beach for a potpourri of red-hot fun. Hot Tuesday nights sizzle each week at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Ooh, it's hot.
Hohensy's the quarterback, Powell the running back, Ernest Adams the eligible offensive lineman, Dawkins, Moran, and Shepis the wide receivers, Opfar and Walls the offensive linemen. Pittsburgh with their first crack at it tonight. From the 16-yard line, Mike Hohensy, who's completed over 60% of his passes. And with a real good opportunity at that one, Julius Dawkins just not able to haul it in.
Remember how excited Joe Herring was this morning to think that he had Hairston and Dawkins on the same offensive receiving set. Already Hairston is out. Dawkins can't bring that one in, so now Julius Dawkins, who's just come off the injured list, may end up having to pull the load offensively.
Felton, Murphy, Oliver, Cletus Jones, Hockaday, Williams, Henley, the defensive specialist, and Brewer. But Henley, as Hohensy throws, he's got Dawkins wide open, and it's a touchdown. And how about that for a move, just falling into the end zone? I was going to say that Henley, the defensive specialist, 46, was not supposed to be able to come back in, and that was the man who was beaten.
He had to stay out 5 minutes, and 5 minutes had elapsed on the clock. And so here comes Hohensy. Actually, a pretty frightening pass to throw on the line. He really had to zip that in there. I think he almost had to believe that Henley was going to fall down, which in fact he did, the defensive specialist out of Southern Connecticut. And then Dawkins does his own version of falling down into the end zone untouched.
For Dawkins, his 10th touchdown reception of the year. And Rusty Fricky to attempt the point after. And it's just off to the right. So Fricky's been in a bit of a slump of late. And Joe Herring has got his Pittsburgh Gladiators up on top 6-0 with 6:03 left to go. First quarter from Providence.
This
year, my son and I took some time to photograph the beauty of nature. I took pictures, he took pictures. Then naturally, we looked for the Kodak Color Watch seal for great developing. The Color Watch seal means a Kodak system checks the developing for great color, and every print is on Kodak paper. But our father and son see things differently. This is my idea of natural beauty, and this is his. The Kodak Color Watch system. You're going to thank me for it. Of course, he's single, see? Yeah.
Why do you want to do that?
Welcome back to Providence as Hohensee finds Dawkins 34 yards on the touchdown pass, and I don't know if there's a quarterback in any league that's thrown 23 touchdowns without an interception.
Hohensee is incredible in that respect, and he takes some serious punishment back there. He's been beaten up in just about every game he's played and still has yet to throw an interception for this Pittsburgh team.
Well, Joe Herring realizes when the season started he probably wasn't going to have him the whole way, and I'll tell you, that was a good kickoff by Fricky right there, straight and low. As we look at Hohensee once again going to Dawkins.
And he just throws it right on a line. He sees Dawkins behind the defender as Henley just falls down, takes a stab at it, but Julius on the 36-yard touchdown reception, kind of laughing to himself, saying, it's nest tea time. I didn't mean for a commercial there, but just sounded right. Now, we were listening to Babe Pirelli call plays on the sidelines. Keep your eyes on a post route to Brian Gardner, number 9. He's the slot back lined up to the top of your screen. Nope,
and they're going to run it with Cletus Jones, and that's not going to go anywhere. They have been trying to get Jones more involved offensively. He has rushed the ball 25 times coming into this game for an average of 2.6 yards a carry. But basically, I think, and maybe you will agree with me, that the run is more of a deception rather than really anything that you're looking to add substantially to your offense.
Oh, no, you just can't get everybody blocked that you want to block to try to run the ball. So, consequently, you throw Pittsburgh. I mean, they don't even use the run. They freely admit it.
2nd and 10. Smith is in trouble. He escapes Walls once. He's got Gardner deep. Touchdown!
That was the play Babe Pirelli called a couple of moments ago. The deep pass to Brian Gardner. And I'm telling you, Harold Smith made that play happen.
Walls nearly got him the first time and almost got him a second time.
There you see, Walls has a hand on him. Can't bring him in. Spins away to Smith. Everything he's got. You talk strong arm, end zone to end zone. Perfect. That is a 53-yard pass right on the money to Brian Gardner.
Ruoff misses it. Welcome to arena football, Bernie. It's a little more narrow than you're used to up north of the border. Harold Smith is 18th touchdown pass of the year, and we're tied up at 6 in the first quarter.
I'm even jazzier in my BVDs.
Hey, I drive even faster in my BVDs.
I'm more intimidating in my BVDs.
BVD brand underwear. Whatever you do, that extra comfort helps you do it better.
I became a TV heartthrob in my BVDs.
America, do it better in your BVDs. Now on sale at participating stores.
At my age, I've done just about everything in my BVDs.
45 yards from Harold Smith to Brian Gardner. For Gardner, his 3rd touchdown reception of the year. And really, they haven't spread it around too much at New England. Hockaday with 10 catches, and then Gardner with 3, the second most. As the ball's fumbled around by Shepis, Moran was going to down it. And Moran is across the 20 to the 22. Now, what's the call there, Steve?
Well, I'm going to wait and see what the official is going to say as they talk about it just a bit. Here's the touchdown pass one more time. Smith to Gardner. And this is just such a pretty pass. 45 yards. It's officially called, but that pass was about 55 yards in the air on a line to Brian Gardner.
Now, Moran did not get the knee down, but I think some of the New England players saw him going down, and they let up a little bit.
May have eased up just a bit.
Nice play. Nice deception play.
Sure.
Shepis in motion. Hohensee finds Moran across midfield to the 23, and Henley with a headlock. And Moran with a few words to the defensive specialist of the New England Steamrollers out of Southern Connecticut.
Well, Brian's got to let him know that, you know, I can come into this area and I'm going to catch a couple of passes over here, and you better not mess with me.
Henley's 6 foot, 186 pounds, and Moran goes 5'11", 190, as Hockaday is taking a rest defensively for the New England Steamrollers, and Alvin Williams is in there right now. 2nd and 5. Hohensee is going to have to eat it. Penalty marker is down as Sylvester Bembry and Steve O'Malley, the 2 men in on the sack.
Bembry coming into tonight's game with 3 sacks, and he'll get a half a one if that play stands.
Wait a minute. 23 was coming as a substitute.
Go ahead.
All right. He did not come back into the team area. He stayed outside on the playing field.
As long as he's coming off the field and going out of bounds.
He didn't, Phil. He was coming.
I saw him on the field. Did he get off the field? You said he got off the field.
When you say get off the field, you mean get into the
No, get off.
Did he get off the field?
Sideline. Off the
He's
sideline.
on the sideline.
Okay, we're going to rule it okay. Wait a minute. No flag on the play. The substitute came in and got off the field, so there is no penalty. The quarterback sack stands.
Well, basically, they were talking about too many men on the field.
Right.
Is what it was.
The substitution rulings there. And the referee, Mr. Parkinson, and quite rightly so, the substitution official said number 23 had not come completely off the field, but the official said, well, he was not in the game. Yes, he was far enough off that he doesn't count against the team. So number 23 they were talking about was Russell Hairston, who is now back in the game, sore ankle and all, for Pittsburgh.
Hairston got his fingers on it as Henley, the defensive specialist, was right down there with him. And that'll bring up a 4th down and 16, and that'll bring on Rusty Fricky as we take a look at Mike Hohensee.
Hohensee under some pressure here tonight. He's seeing those orange jerseys in his face. Throws that one just over the outstretched fingertips of Russell Hairston, last year's Arena Football Player of the Year.
Now keep in mind, folks, that goal area there is 9.5 feet, and the end zone 8 yards deep. The ball will be set down at the 8-yard line, so it will be a 50-yard attempt, and that is right at Fricky's distance. And that's off the net. That's a live football, and it's down in the end zone. Now, the first 2 times, or the first time this team met, there were 2 plays exactly like that Pittsburgh recovered and enabled them to jump out to a 21-0 lead in the first 90 seconds of the game. So that will be brought out to the 5-yard line, and that's one of the intriguing things about arena football, the nets.
You call it intriguing. Players down on the field would call it downright scary. When they see that ball come bouncing back at them, they're not sure which direction it's going to go. All they know is they better get on it because it's a live ball.
1 minute, 43 seconds left to go. First quarter. Jim Rafferty in the game. Penalty marker down. Rafferty makes the catch at the 10-yard line. Jim Rafferty from Colgate.
Get a number. Captain. Captain. 3-yard penalty is 1st and 7 or 2nd down and about 5. You want 1st and 7? 1st and 7 or 2nd and 5? Offside, defense, interior lineman, 3-yard penalty, still 1st down.
So offside against Pittsburgh.
There's really no need to explain very much, is there? I mean, no. Parkinson, the official, Mr. Parkinson, is letting us hear everything he says.
We're tied up at 6, and you can see penalties and a lot of them already in the first quarter. Very important game here for New England tonight. They are 1-5 halfway through the season. 4 teams make the playoff. Pittsburgh at 4-2. And the reception by Williams, and that's Alvin Williams, number 45, and that's a 1st down for the New England Steamrollers. The clock does not stop, we remind you, in the first quarter. And
Williams catching the ball, and he takes a wicked shot.
Now, even though you've got 6 inches of padding on those boards over there, I mean, it's...
You'll feel it. You know that you've been hit by something big when you hit that wall.
I mean, William Perry's got 6 inches of padding on him, and it still hurts when you run into him, right?
Sure does.
Smith to Rafferty, makes the catch, flag is down, and that's going to be interference as Rafferty is out at the 5-yard line.
That's going to go against Dan Burmeister, but they will decline the penalty, will the Steamrollers.
Rafferty, a stocky wide receiver at 6'1", 200 pounds.
Pass interference, defense number 27, penalties decline. First down.
All right, here we go. Watch Harold Smith. He gets hit as he lets it go. Now downfield. Little hand in the face action. Ooh, also grabbed a little face mask before Rafferty got smacked into those boards. Hand is right there.
Yeah.
Little face masking there.
13th reception on the year for Rafferty. He's caught just 1 touchdown pass, so Smith getting some of the other receivers a little bit more involved here as the clock shows 28 seconds to go, first quarter.
Boy, that's the thing, Roger, that really killed New England the first meeting, is Harold pulling out too soon or the center just not getting him the ball. But that really killed the Steamrollers their first meeting.
Sometimes, and they've had problems, Steve, scoring down inside the 10. The quarterback gets a little bit anxious. And you see what the opponents have done. And Pittsburgh, as a matter of fact, giving up over 261 yards a game. That is the most in arena football. And, of course, the passing yards also the most. But they bend a lot. They don't often break. And we've completed the first quarter.
He's coming out. Let's go.
Gillette has changed the face of shaving. First, we made it closer. Then we made it smoother. Atra Plus. Its Lubra Smooth Strip actually releases lubricants to glide the razor more smoothly. Incredible smoothness from the first stroke to the last. The Atra Plus system. First we made it closer, then we made it smoother.
If people really like the taste of fried burgers, how come there aren't backyard frying pans instead of backyard barbecues? Think about it. Over a juicy flame-broiled Whopper.
We do it like you do it when we do it like we do it at Burger King.
The alien invasion is coming soon. Be on the lookout at Burger King.
The 24 hours of Le Mans is underway, and ESPN is there. Stay tuned for live coverage throughout today and the exciting tomorrow morning, only on ESPN.
Cut your car payments in half, New England, and come to your senses at Lowell Hyundai. Only Lowell Hyundai can cut your 1988 payments in half on any new Hyundai in stock. XL's from $69.50 per month for 88 with only $95 down. Choose a sedan or hatchback, automatic or 5-speed, and Lowell Hyundai will literally cut your 88 car payments in half or get up to $1,500 cash back. The choice is yours. Half payments for 88 or up to $1,500 cash back with only $95 down. Only at Lowell Hyundai. Don't miss it.
Nashua Cycle Center has the latest in motorcycles. The Honda Rebel made for people who travel on their own terms, and those terms are very reasonable, only $1,298 delivered. If you're into sport touring, Nashua Cycle Center can help you experience the exhilaration of the Honda 1000 Hurricane. Prices start at only $5,100. The Goldwing series from Honda presents the ultimate in a touring cycle with the GL 1500, the finest Honda can offer, and it's made in the USA. Nashua Cycle Center, 283 Main Street, Nashua, New Hampshire.
Hohensee his 23rd touchdown pass of the year to Dawkins, and Smith his 18th touchdown pass of the year, tied at 6 after the first quarter. I'm Roger Twibell, along with Steve Raible at the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island, and New England at the 8-yard line, second down and goal, and they've had problems, Steve, punching it in from this particular point on the field.
As have almost all the arena football teams, because there's so little yardage to work with down here.
Hockaday was the man in motion. Smith going to Hockaday, and it was thrown behind him. Hairston on the coverage. for the Pittsburgh Gladiators. Now, one of the other problems that New England has had has been third down completions. They're the poorest in arena football in completing third down plays. I don't know with the 50-yard field if it is that relevant, but it's still, you know, this is, I think, four-down football for the most part.
You virtually, I think, have to look at it that way, especially when you get past midfield. You've only got 25 yards to get down in there, so you have a pretty good opportunity to use all four downs.
And with as difficult as it is to kick field goals, they're going to go for it many, many times on fourth down. This is third. Smith has it deflected, and Mike Powell made the nice play at the 5-yard line as he stuck a hand up there. Alvin Williams was the intended receiver, and Brian Moran was back on the coverage for the Pittsburgh Gladiators.
Among all the injuries that Pittsburgh has in its defense, Craig Federico, usually the starting fullback linebacker, is out of action. So Mike Powell has seen an awful lot of playing time the last couple of weeks, going both ways again. In football, arena football, you do play offense and defense.
So you see a field goal attempt now by Bernie Ruoff, a 23-yard attempt. And welcome to arena football. Ruoff gets the New England Steamrollers a 9-6 lead with 13:36 left to go. First half from the Civic Center in Providence.
You know, that was a smart move.
You mean renting that budget one-way truck?
I can't believe how much we saved.
Well, budget doesn't charge you for round trip, just one way.
And their rate was low to begin with.
You know, it was kind of fun driving that truck.
Yeah. Air conditioning, stereo.
Automatic, power steering. It's better in our car.
Really? And to top it off, we got $50 off.
Just by calling budget and mentioning arena football.
Yeah. That budget one-way truck was the best move we ever made.
Earlier today, Bay Pirelli at our meeting said if we get 10 points from our kicker, we'll win. Well, coming into this game, they had only made 2 field goals out of 20 attempts, so
just about anything from their kicker.
Just about anything's a bonus, right?
Babe on the sideline talking with his coaches, trying to figure out now how they're going to keep Pittsburgh from coming right back and scoring again.
As Ruoff with the low liner, Brian Moran will pick it up. Moran across the 15 to the 17-yard line, and that seems to be the kick that a lot of the place kickers in this league are going to, that low line drive kick.
Again,
so it's not going to hit the nets.
And hoping that it'll bounce around back there, be difficult to pick up, as we saw a little bit earlier. But Moran's done an excellent job, especially without Richmond back there. Richmond was a pretty good kick returner for them. Of course, he's out of action, and that's a real loss, as we mentioned earlier. And we'll continue to talk about it. Rock Richmond, maybe the best defensive player in all of arena football.
Leading tackler.
Sure. Out for the rest of the season, probably with a wrist injury.
Moran's in motion, a fumble, and Hohensee fell on top of it. And that'll bring up a second down.
Hohensee did not play last week. We, of course, saw Pittsburgh here on ESPN last week. On the Thursday night game, Hohensee out. Fulmar played. Hohensee maybe a little bit rusty.
Second and 12. Moran is in motion. Quickly to Dawkins, and the man who stuck his hand in there was 45, Alvin Williams.
And if he wasn't a crowd favorite before the announcer got a hold of his name, he is now.
Out of Texas Southern.
Track guy down there. Went to school on a track scholarship. Looks like a sprinter, doesn't he? Lean, 6 foot, 175 pounds.
Hey, Mom! A lot like you, except a different color.
Yes. Well, I'm a little bit bigger than that. Not much, but a little bit. I was a sprinter in college as well. Certainly not as fast as he.
A 9.400, folks. Don't let him fool you here. The kid was fast. Hohensee. Hairston. Touchdown. And a tremendous play by Mike Hohensee. We've seen a couple of great athletic feats by Harold Smith and Mike Hohensee scrambling and throwing on the run.
And a couple of pretty good catches to go along with that. And a little bit of credit to his offensive front. There were a couple of excellent blocks pushing those on-rushing steamrollers away, but falling backwards and throwing that ball right on the money by Hohensee. What a great pass.
He also threw that over Hockaday, who was coming in, and Hockaday goes about 6 high. Watch it here.
Now, the diving catch by Hairston. Look at him stretch out on the fingertips.
That ball might have hit the ground and brought it back up. Nobody saw it, though. Fricky knocks it straight through. So we've seen a couple of great catches in Providence. A couple weeks ago, we saw Greg Best make a great catch, diving in the end zone, and now we see Russell Hairston with a similar type of grab. And Pittsburgh jumps back on top, 13-9.
Power, power. Now, you are playing with power.
Punch-Out by Nintendo. 11 world-class contenders. Take them down with your controller, beat them all, and you've got a shot at Tyson's title.
Power.
But for that, you've got to beat Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
The boys of summer are at it again. Stay in the swing of things with Major League Baseball Magazine every Monday on ESPN.
We welcome you back to Providence, Rhode Island, where Pittsburgh now has jumped back on top of the New England Steamrollers 13-9. There was a team called the Providence Steamrollers that played in the National Football League many, many, many years ago.
Didn't they win the championship?
Yes,
like 1928, something like that?
That ball is off the post. It's a live football. And New England got lucky and fell right on it. But what a great kick by Fricky. And what an exciting play that is in this type of football.
Rusty's going to run back over to the sidelines now and tell his teammates that he practiced this, kicking it off that upright, which is less than a foot wide. Look at it hit the metal structure, and it's going to fly 15 yards, 8 yards out into the field. And I thought, sure, Craig Walls, number 54, look at him right there on the play. He just ran right by it. And instead, David Henley from Southern Connecticut, who was signed just prior to our last game here in New England a few weeks ago, was Johnny on the spot to fall on it.
Alvin Williams split to the near side as Smith at the 20-yard line with his receiver, Brian Gardner. Stuart Mitchell, number 30, is getting the start tonight. Mitchell played collegiately at Cornell. As you look at the replay here, Mitchell's a versatile player. He can play quarterback. He was a special teams captain for Maxie Bond.
An old Georgia Tech guy.
Yeah.
Maxie Bond.
Because I'm standing next to an old Georgia Tech guy, so he'd know all about that.
I had to bring that up.
Now, they try to go to Jones on the running play, and they've gone to it twice, and twice it hasn't worked.
Yeah, Cletus Jones has not been altogether unsuccessful running the ball this year, but they are having absolutely no luck with Pittsburgh tonight. And again, it's because you just don't have enough people to block all the guys up there. Besides, it's awfully tough to block Craig Walls anyway on any kind of play, let alone on a running play when he has time to diagnose it, use those quick feet to get himself in position. Craig Walls, Indiana, he was a linebacker back there and undersized even there. He's barely big enough to play running back, but what a hitter.
3rd down and 4. New England has only completed 15% of their 3rd down plays this year, and there's another. Once again, that may not be the most relevant statistic in arena ball like it is in college or NFL football, but it still tells you a little something about the problems offensively that they have.
Sure, I mean, if you can continue to complete 1st down plays and 2nd down plays, you're all right. Even Joe Herring couldn't catch it.
Well, he's got bad hands. Well, he was a defensive
and he's
player.
saying, oh, if I'd have just had hands, I could have been somebody. I could have been a star in this league. But no, Joe was a defensive guy.
Now, Ruoff to attempt another field goal. This is going to be 48 yards. It's got the distance, but it's off to the left. That's a live football. And it went out of bounds before New England could pounce on it. Well, I'll tell you what, you tell your special teams people to get downfield in a hurry, and in this league, they better get downfield in a hurry.
That ball could come out at any angle, at any time. And the team that's being kicked against has to be aware as well. Always aware in this game with these nets.
Pittsburgh with a 13-9 lead.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas. Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99. $17.99? But it says $10.99. Not for those pizzas. How can that be? I think if you refer to the fine print. Fine print? Not vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you? I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis. Oh, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
Roger Twibell, Steve Raible back with you at the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island. Beautiful day here in New England. I know it's been a long winter, moved right into summer here in this part of the country, but when it is nice, it's nice to be outside, and we're glad you can be here with us on this Saturday night as the Pittsburgh Gladiators with a 4-2 record and currently in second place in arena football have their quarterback Mike Hohensee back. And he was looking to Russell Hairston. Hairston was looking inside. The ball went outside, and Hohensee hits the deck again. Hohensee's had shoulder problems all year. Hohensee, pretty good college quarterback out of Minnesota. Didn't have a lot of size, but played the United States Football League for several years.
They call him Bam Bam. I don't know if that's because he likes to hit people or because he takes a lot of shots, but that's his nickname on this team, Bam Bam.
That's probably because he takes a lot of shots.
Yeah. Again, Pittsburgh continues with Dawkins and Hairston in the game. 2 very dangerous wide receivers, both to the top of the screen this time.
Clock will, of course, continue to run until the final minute of this first half when it will stop on out of bounds and incomplete. And Hairston, the intended receiver, and once again, Hohensee on his back. Now, one of the things, folks, in this league is that you have a lot of defensive-oriented players, and because you have to play both ways, you end up playing offense, too. And for linemen, that can present a problem because you get very frustrated as a defensive player when you're trying to block another one.
You get frustrated, too, as a quarterback when you put the ball on the money, take it in the chops like Hohensee did, and Russell Hairston drops that pass. You've got to make those catches. You may not get an entire game out of Hohensee the way he's getting hit. You got to make the most of him when he's out there.
Well, Brendan Fulmer, who had a bad first half last week, really came back in the second half against Detroit. As Hohensee double pumps, comes to the near side, and Hohensee is on the ground again. Dawkins was the intended receiver. I'll tell you what Hohensee does. He hangs pretty tough. He moves up within the pocket. He knows when to go out. That time, instead of going wide, he moved up, made a couple little zig steps. Take a look at Dawkins.
Now, Hohensee's going to step around.
I think that was incidental contact myself.
I think so. Guys coming together. You know, it happens sometimes, and we have an injury down on the field for the Steamrollers.
A New England player. And Steve O'Malley is number 51, so if our eyesight is correct from our broadcast position up above, O'Malley, an offensive lineman, down at the goal line. Ball is on the 5-yard line. It'll be 4th down and 10 as the trainer takes a look at the left knee. And we'll return to Providence in just a moment.
I like my Chevrolet. It's not like any truck that I've driven, and I've driven Fords since 1975. And I needed a truck that I felt comfortable hauling lumber as well as driving clients around in. Well, if you punch it, it does really go. I really think Chevy has their act together. I really and truly think they're going to blow them away.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
Be the truck to buy. There's nothing like it on the market. There really isn't.
And welcome back to Providence. Roger Twibell, Steve Raible here with you as O'Malley, the offensive lineman for the New England Steamrollers, still down. This is one of the reasons that the 19-player roster was instituted this week. We have had a number of injuries. And Steve, I don't think it's very surprising considering the fact that for the first time in probably an awfully long time, these players are playing two-way football. And even though it's only a 50-yard field, it's still, in its own way, very, very demanding.
You've still got 4 15-minute quarters. You're still playing special teams. You've got guys going out there who normally might take in a college football game 45, maybe 50 snaps outside in a long game. Now, in arena football, playing both ways, you're maybe taking 80 snaps a game, and that really is rough on the body.
The trainer, Mary Ellen Serena, is out, the team doctor. The left knee of O'Malley appears to be the problem area.
This is the reverse angle. Take a look at number 51 in the orange jersey. He's at the top of the screen. He's going up against
Kendall Walls.
Yeah, it looked like his leg just gave way as he was being blocked by Kendall Walls, and it did give way, and it's bad enough that he's being carried off the field by his teammates. Jim Hockaday there, we see helping out.
And you're going to be talking to Hockaday at halftime.
And we will. Maybe he can give us some insights into Steve O'Malley's injury out of Northern Illinois.
Well, that means he played for either Lee Corso, who coached there for a little bit. Bill Mallory coached there a little bit.
Well, he was on the injured reserve for the Broncos. That much I can tell you.
Which means he played for Dan Reeves a little bit.
All pretty good coaches. Now he's playing for Babe Parilli, which may be one of the reasons Babe has him on this team. Babe knows him from Denver, of course.
There you go.
Babe spends a lot of time out in Denver.
And Babe was with the USFL team, the Denver Gold there. So Fricky now from, let's call it 2 yards in the end zone. Now, he's not really attempting to make this. He just wants to get it down off the net or deep enough, which he doesn't. And Gardner takes it at the goal line, gets by Kendall Walls, but he's tripped up. Number 44 was in there, and Mike Powell did a fine job that time in the open field, and we don't get to say open field tackles very often in arena football.
You know how difficult that is, too, when you've been playing virtually the whole game as Mike Powell has. You've been running up and down this field, and now you're expected to cover up what amounts to a punt. It's from a field goal formation, but it amounts to a punt. Run down there and in the open field, try to trip up somebody who's a lot faster and a lot quicker than you. That's one job with those tired legs, and we're not even halfway through this ball game yet, folks.
Less than 6 minutes to go, first half. Pittsburgh with a 13-9 lead. Smith going to Hockaday, and he makes the catch just inside the 20 at the 19-yard line. Hockaday has really shown us some fine moves, and a penalty flag has been tossed as you take a look at the University of Georgia grad.
Zone defense, number 30 on the defense.
Well, that's Stuart Mitchell, who's gotten himself into a bit of a bind again. He has gone into playing that defensive specialist position, and he's called for playing a zone. Again, in arena football, you have to play man-to-man. Think of it like the NBA,
I don't understand this Ivy Leaguer making all these mistakes here. What's the deal? I thought they were smart.
All right, number 30. He's in a linebacker spot now as the defensive specialist. And he just kind of drifts away from his
He never moved more than 2 yards from his initial position.
Well, the officials upstairs think he moved far enough to call it a zone defense.
Smith looking near side. Williams, the intended receiver. I watched Mitchell that time, and basically he did exactly what he did on the play before. He took about a step forward. He took about a step and a half back. Then he took about 2 steps to the left, just kind of moving his feet almost like in a stationary running position.
And it's difficult to try to get a defensive player not to do that, actually.
Let's try to explain this. You have 8 men on the defense, 8 men on the offense, but 8 men on the defense means that there's 1 man that is essentially covering the quarterback, if you will, and you can't play a zone. So that man, Stuart Mitchell, what does he do there?
Tries to not look like he's playing his own defense, quite frankly.
2nd and 10. Moran with the interception. Brian Moran, the interception inside the 5-yard line. The pass was intended for Alvin Williams, and Brian Moran comes up with a big defensive play.
We seem to have called his name a lot tonight, especially on defense. Moran, he's deeper than the receiver is. In fact, he's in a better position to make the catch than is Williams, the receiver, and the motion of Moran, the impetus carrying him into the end zone so the ball comes out to the 5-yard line.
First interception for Brian Moran this year, and for Harold Smith, his 8th interception.
And that's interesting for a guy, Brian Moran, who was a free safety at the University of Akron. You'd think he'd be in on more pickoff plays this year.
Moran's the man in motion. 3:58, and Hohensee is nailed, and it's a safety. Hohensee is nailed. Sylvester Bembry with his 2nd sack, and also in there was number 88, Joe Williams.
Sylvester Bembry goes on that all-name team, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Ray Collins. Ooh, just a wicked shot, too. Hohensee really took a shot in the chops as he was going down. So that's been the problem for Pittsburgh this evening. They have been overpowered at the line of scrimmage. Joe Herring believes in the small, very mobile linemen, but that's going to get you beat sometimes by the big guys like Sylvester Bembry and Joe Williams.
Let's also give a nod to Joe Felton, number 98, who was also in there. Sylvester Bembry out of Central Florida. And that school didn't even have a football program until about 10 years ago. Located in Orlando.
260 pounds goes Bembry, 265 for Joe Felton. So some big guys in there beating up on some smaller offensive linemen for Pittsburgh.
Fricky kicks it off from the 5. Chris Brewer. And he's out to the 21-yard line. So Brewer out of the University of Arizona. And we haven't mentioned his name many times this evening. Will take this kick. And this time, you got to figure maybe he had a chance to get it off the net, but he went for that low squib kick, and that's the price you have to pay because it's going to get down there a lot faster. And if the bounce is right, the receiving team is going to be able to pick up some yardage. So now all of a sudden New England have got themselves in good field position at their own 20 with 3:28 left to go, and they trail by 2, 13-11. And Smith with a quick out to Rafferty. Penalty marker is down.
Rafferty got into a pretty good battle with Russell Hairston over there on the reception, and the flag dropped. A face mask penalty.
Stuart Mitchell is having his problems. A face mask call on Stuart Mitchell.
There's a lot of pressure on a guy like Stuart Mitchell to come in and try to fill the shoes of Rock Richmond. And here you see Russell Hairston on the tackle. Now Hairston, that's a face mask right there. The call was made against number 30, Stuart Mitchell, who was nowhere near the play. It was Russell Hairston on the call.
So 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. Smith has got a man wide open, intercepted. Stuart Mitchell will pitch it back to Moran, and they go to the near side, and there's a fight at midfield right now. Dimitrenko of Pittsburgh. And 68 for New England. Sylvester Bembry started mixing it up at midfield. That ball was tipped. The pass was tipped, and let's take a look.
Off Williams' hands and right into the hands of Mitchell. Again, the guy we said who had to pick up the slack for Rock Richmond.
I think that was Mike Powell that tipped the football.
That'll be a couple of tips for Powell then already today. Herring gets knocked down on the sidelines. Joe's going to have to put some pads on. He's missed one catch.
Or he's going to have to get back inside the gate is what he's going to have to do.
You'll never get Joe Herring off that field. He loves it down there.
Now, New England wants a timeout with 2:39 left to go in the first half. And there's Stuart Mitchell, who came up with the play, getting the start at defensive specialist. And Mitchell with his first pass interception. So Moran and Mitchell both with their first pickoffs of the year.
Joe Herring directing traffic out there.
(13-11) Pittsburgh with a 2-point lead. New England, Steve, has been a type of team, with the exception of that first game against Pittsburgh when Pittsburgh scored a lead 82 points. They've been able to stay pretty close with teams through the first half and up through the third quarter, and then those little mistakes that they made earlier in the game, they start multiplying, it seems like, and they sort of disintegrate. I mean, they let Chicago last week. They've really been in most of their games. Let's take a listen to Babe Hurley.
That screen, if they're going to back up, they got to throw them. Right there on the corner.
So you heard Pirelli saying that he wants to throw that screen. He says if their defense is going to back up, then we'll just throw the ball underneath.
They lost to Los Angeles 27-20. You saw them beat New York 24-13. They lost to Detroit by 5, 29-24. So their last 4 games, they have won 1 and lost 3 close wins. And there they swing it out to Powell. Nice move by Powell. Boy, a fine job of running by Mike Powell across midfield to the 23-yard line. Powell, 6', 214-pounder out of Weber State in Utah.
And you tell your guys, get that positive yardage, get upfield. But I think in this case, you know, you give up a couple of yards to try to get into position to make some more. He's also able to come back and pick up some blocks like that one by 98, Scott Dimitrenko. Mike Powell, a 214-pounder, as you said, out of Weber State, filling in admirably for Federico, who's been injured several weeks.
Coming into this game, he had but 1 reception. So he's getting a little more offensive time, and that was a different play. That was an inside reverse to Brian Moran. Now, Moran was split out to the left side, and he came running back into the inside, and that involves some quick blocking. Take a look at, there's a nice hole there.
Nice block by Walls up front, pushing everything off to one side. Nice blocking by Dimitrenko. This is what's going to have to happen to you as a quarterback and an offensive line. If you can't protect your quarterback long enough for that 5-step drop, and heaven knows Pittsburgh's had their problems in that, then you try to finesse. You try to throw the quick passes, the inside handoffs, the flip pass out to the fullback, anything to keep those defensive guys off of you.
3rd down and 1 with just over a minute left to go first half. And Hohenstein at Dawkins, and a penalty marker is down. 45 for New England. Back on the coverage, Alvin Williams. And, boy, what a good call that was by Mike Hohenstein.
Yeah, the trackster Alvin Williams was beaten pretty much from the start by Julius Dawkins. Dawkins just running a crossing route, and he was pretty much out there. The only thing Williams could do was grab a hold of him, try to slow him down, and the official saw it there. The hand you saw on the back, and there the contact. He actually knocks the ball away, but the call was on the pulling on the jersey.
So Dawkins, who had a great collegiate career at Pitt, and as a matter of fact, during his sophomore and junior years, especially after his junior year, was considered by many to be a #1 pick of the National Football League, and fell off a little bit his senior year. Still spent some time in the NFL. Has been a tremendous receiver for the Pittsburgh Gladiators, as we have the 1-minute warning, which means now that the clock will stop on out of bounds and incomplete passes. And Steve's going to leave us and head downfield. Let's listen to Babe Hurley.
Can't believe it. Well, no. Chris Brewer nicked, and he didn't clean his man on.
1st and 10. Hohenstein, he's nailed. The flag is down. 2 men are on Mike Hohenstein. And holding is called.
67, you're on a hold of him.
Boy, I'll tell you what, number 67 is called for holding for the Pittsburgh Gladiators, and that's Dave Otfar. And folks, I don't know.
Decline.
That wasn't a very good job of holding.
67 offense is declined.
Because if you're going to hold, you better make sure that nobody gets your quarterback. Now let's take a look at Otfar. He is the center here, and he's got Bembry. Actually, that's not a bad job of holding. But the fact of the matter is that Bembry did get to the quarterback, so it wasn't a real good job of holding. But he tried to disguise it a little bit. There you see 15-minute quarters, except for penalties and injuries, and the clock stops only in the last minute of each half. They decline the penalty, 2nd and 10 with 51 seconds to go. Hohenstein to Powell. He cuts it up the middle. That was a bit of a delayed screen there as the ball's inside the 10 down to the 8. And the Pittsburgh Gladiators are going to take a timeout. So they've got their full complement of timeouts, and they've also got the sidelines working for them in the final minute. And also the ball will stop. The clock will stop, excuse me. The ball's out of bounds. The game last week for the New England Steamrollers saw this man, Carl Akins, of the Chicago Bruisers, chosen as the Arena Football Most Valuable Player of the Week. as Akins with 3 touchdowns in that game. And the Iron Man for the Arena Football was Dwayne Dixon of the Detroit Drive. And boy, if you were with us a week ago Thursday night, you saw a great performance. Last week, 8 catches, 98 yards, as Dwayne Dixon, one of the outstanding players in Arena Football, ironed as the Iron Man player. And of course, we'll have our Little Caesars Iron Man player this game at the conclusion of this evening's contest. Steve and I will compare notes and get some input from the folks in the truck, maybe. 3rd down now, 5 yards to go for the Pittsburgh Gladiators. So they can get a first down without scoring a touchdown as Moran comes in motion to the near side. Pass intended for Dawkins. He got his hands on it. There was a lot of bumping going on at the goal line, but Dawkins definitely had a chance to catch it. So the clock now at 35 seconds and a 4th down and 5, and the Gladiators holding on to a 2-point lead. Hohensee with good protection this time. See, Dawkins has to turn around, did get one hand on it, but Hohensee threw it where he had to because the defensive man was to the inside. And the Pittsburgh Gladiators go for it on 4th and 5. They need to get down to the 4-yard line for the first down. And Moran has it, and he's out of bounds at the 1, so the clock will stop with 29 seconds, and Pittsburgh gets their first down. So good play call right there by Mike Hohensee, and a nice grab by Brian Moran. Take a look at it here. This is tough to defense because they don't want to give up the touchdown, and there was just that space between the goal line marker, and you can see the flag right there at the 4, and Moran found himself in there, and Hohensee was able to get him the football, and consequently the Pittsburgh Gladiators have it 1st and goal from the 1-yard line with 29 seconds left to go in a 2-point lead. They might use up a little bit of the clock here. No, they don't, as Powell takes it in for the touchdown. No fumble. He was already in the end zone. Take a look at it again. Quick pitch to Powell. Good kick-out block. And, Steve, did you get a chance to look at that from your position down there?
From our vantage point down here in the far end zone, Roger, we did in fact see it. As you said, a good kick-out block. Game takes on a whole new dimension, as we've talked about before. We were in this position last week. A whole new dimension when you're down here looking at ground level. You also get somewhat of an indication of what the fans are seeing, who can be so close to the action.
Fricky, well, there's a mix-up on the point after. Brendan Fulmar will throw it off the net. It's still up in the air, and it's caught. No, but it's caught out on the field. One official is signaling, yes, the catch and the score, and the other official is signaling no score. Let's take a look at it again. There must have been a problem with the snap. Brendan Fulmar now looking, and he says, okay, I'm just going to throw it off the net and see what happens. You see it hit off the net. It touches a New England player. And then Powell right there has it. Now Bembry has him. He's in the zone, and he pushes him out of the end zone. And as he hit the ground, he lost the football.
Yeah, I think the question here, Roger, is did he have the ball when he was inside the plane?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, as we've got to look at it, he's got the football. He's there. Bembry drives him out. He was carried out of the end zone, and they're going to say no to the 2-point conversion. I love that stuff, Raible. I don't know about you. I think that net's great.
Oh, it's definitely exciting.
Now, 19-11, 24 seconds to go, and New England's got plenty of time to get on the board here. Tricky. That's a live football. It's a live ball. And wisely, New England will down it right at the 5-yard line.
And Roger, standing down here just behind the Pittsburgh team as they kicked off, you should have heard the huffing and puffing. There are some tired guys out here on this football field for both sides, the New England team and for the Pittsburgh. These guys have been playing an entire half of football both ways now, offense and defense. Throw special teams in there, I think you and I would be tired as well.
I'm just tired, so you can have a whole half out. seconds left to go. 19-11. Pittsburgh leads it. And Harold Smith going underneath, finds Rafferty. He gets out of bounds. And Rafferty looked like he might have pulled a stomach muscle. He's bent over. He had to reach down for that football down by his shoes. And Rafferty's got the Andre Agassi look. It's the coming back out of the helmet. I remember you used to have hair like that, didn't you, Steve?
A very, very long time ago. I wish I had hair like that now, quite frankly. I'd probably do something else with it, but I wish I had something like that to work with.
We all wish that, don't we? Second down and gets rid of it. Hockaday with a great catch inside the 20, and the clock will stop with 11 seconds left to go, and we'll be talking to Hockaday at halftime. And Raible, who went to Georgia Tech, and Hockaday went to Georgia. Hope we can get those two guys to kind of get along with one another as Hockaday makes a one-handed grab. He just stuck the hand up there and was able to stop the ball momentarily. And, you know, Steve, that's where the tip drill comes in handy even for receivers, because he was able just to keep that thing alive as 11 seconds are left. Smith has Hockaday. Cuts it inside, touchdown. And a penalty marker is down. Penalty marker is down. And Steve, you want to tell me about
holding, Watkins, right guard.
And there's holding called on the right guard. And I'm going to guess that's Kevin Murphy, who seems to be the most disgruntled. Steve, I wanted to ask you, though, about Hairston. Instead of turning, going up and meeting him, he just kind of let Hockaday call his shots on that inside the 5. I guess we're having problems with Steve's microphone.
Tell him I'm on this microphone. Okay.
As Babe Pirelli, boy, what a big play that would have been. And consequently, rather than the touchdown with 4 seconds left, they've got to go to Bernie Ruoff. Field goal attempt by Ruoff, and that's way left. That's a live football, and Hairston tells Moran just to down it, and that'll end the first half with the Pittsburgh Gladiators holding a 19-11 lead over the New England Steamrollers. New England, really a crucial game for them. They're 1-5 on the season. And 4 teams make the playoffs in arena football. And of course, Chicago is unbeaten right now. Pittsburgh at 4-2, and then Detroit at 4-3, and LA at 3-4. So both New York and New England really need to get something going in a hurry. And New England has not played that bad tonight, but the mistakes have always hurt them this year, and they hurt them right again here at the end of the first half. Let's go down to Steve Raible and his guest. Steve?
All right, Roger, standing now down in the end zone with Jim Hockaday, number 85. Jim, just a couple of moments ago in the end zone just beyond me, as though you had a touchdown. Penalty calls it back for New England. That seems to be one of the problems of the Steamrollers this season. Big plays wiped out.
Yeah, we're stopping mental errors. We're going to have to go in and change our game plan now and play a little catch-up ball. Hopefully we'll come back out and play a little error-free football.
New England really has played fine defensively this first half of the season. The offense has been a little bit shaky at times. So what do you think at halftime?
We just stay with our defensive game plan. We got some stuff we hadn't run on them yet. We're going to try to catch them off guard with a couple new plays we've been working on, and just hope our defense all game.
Jim, you're a University of Georgia football player. I played at Georgia Tech, so I know about the heat and humidity down there in the Peach State during the summer. I remember being as tough down there as you tend to get in a game like arena football where you have to play both ways.
Yeah, I got pretty tired of Georgia just for the fact that with the sun beating down on you, the humidity, you couldn't get away from the heat. You get to take a break in here with air conditioning.
But it's tough out here going both ways.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't in the best shape when I came into camp, but I played my way in shape now.
All right, Jim. Go catch a little Gatorade here at halftime. We'll see you out in the second half.
Thank you very much.
All right. Jim Hockaday, let's go back upstairs now to Roger Twibell.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve. With the halftime score 19-11 Pittsburgh, we'll now send you to Sports Center and Bob Lee for all the scores and highlights right after these messages.
Hold it. Ho, ho, ho. So you're going to finally... Good. So first impressions are very important. I think. Okay. Now, imagine. Lights are low, the music's soft. Knock the door opens up. Somebody's out there doing this. She's got damn... Yes, you do. I shampoo her. You can shampoo your brains out with regular shampoo. Wouldn't matter. Brains out? Yeah, well, so use that. Head and Shoulders? Works for me, my friend. But you don't have to handle it. Exactamundo!
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
They have it all. Some guys are just too big. Some guys, they have them all. Some guys get left out in the rain.
Don't wait for something good to happen. Make it happen with the clean, masculine English leather cologne.
Some guys have what others want. Some guys have it all.
English, some guys have it all.
Two-time world driving champion Alain Prost leads the Formula One circuit northward. An international field challenge of the Grand Prix of Canada. At 12:20 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Doesn't that look good? Fresh, hot, New York-style pizza from Espresso Pizza. At Espresso Pizza, the freshest ingredients are used to make the best crispy crust cheese pizza in town, and for less than $5. When you want a snack or a meal or feed a whole party, come to Espresso Pizza, 85 Main Street, Nashua, or call 889-9826. We also offer large order discounts. So next time you're in the mood for a great pizza, make it Espresso Pizza. Drumhill Ford is only 10 minutes from Nashua, where you'll find a better deal on cars and trucks like these. Thunderbird, Mustang, and the all-new Probe for 8 combined luxury and performance. Drumhill Ford has conversion vans priced from $16,995. Order your choice of color. Taurus for $88 with a popular 2 package, equipped with optional 3 or 1 air. $88. Good choice of specially marked red tag cars and trucks. Make the 10-minute decision. Come to Drumhill Ford, Route 3 exit 30, Pittsburgh Lowell line.
Welcome back at halftime. Good evening. I'm Bob. Providence, Pittsburgh leading New England by the count of 19-11. The big story today, the Belmont Stakes, a stirring ride in New York City that awakened memories some 15 years ago. Let's pick up the call now. Call by Dave Johnson.
Now heads apart. Risen Star on the outside. The winner takes command from the Derby winner. Winning colors along the inside. Drops back second by 2.5. King Post a close up third. That's the on the board. Distance. 3.5 back, Brian's time. They move to the top of the stretch, and Risen Star has the lead by 3. He is dropping back as King is moved outside. They're approaching the quarter pole, and Risen Star has the lead by 4. Eddie Delahousie, King Post is in spot, but the rail is racing third. Winning to fourth. Then Cephas and Bernakis, but past the 8th pole, Risen Star drawing away. He looks like his daddy at this point. Risen Star in front, and down the stretch they come. Risen Star drawing off, front by 15, by 18. Risen Star takes the Belmont, just like his daddy Secretariat did.
You get goosebumps watching that. The second fastest Belmont ever, 2:26 and 2/5. Secretariat winning that one by 31 lengths back in 73 with the Triple Crown. Risen Star and King Post placing on the show. Busy schedule tonight in Major League Baseball. Let's check what's happening tonight in the American League. Oakland and Texas into the 4th inning. A's on top 2-1. Dave Henderson over for the A's. Fletcher with an RBI single for Texas. Milwaukee visiting Chicago. Brewers manager Tom Trebelhorn has been ejected from that game. Darrell Boston has a game for the 5-3 now into the 8th inning. Yanks got a grand slam from Jay Buning, the rookie today. 8-6 victory over the Orioles as Rick Rhoden last night loses the Yankees. Eddie Murray and Ken Gerhardt had homers for Baltimore. Getting back on track. Mark Gubicza with a 2-hit. Nothing over the Angels. Kurt Gubicza is striking out 9. The Jays have now won 8 games over the Red Sox in the 10th inning. Sal Campusano, Kelly Gruber, Wayne Ward looking good in relief. The last time Boston won in this series last August. Tigers closed within 2 games of first place. Jack Morris beating the Tribe for the 7th straight time. The final 11-3. Straight wins now for Detroit. Now in the National League this evening, Atlanta visiting Houston. Houston keeping pace, trying to keep pace with the L.A. Dodgers. That game 4th inning. Top 4-3 with a homer. Billy Hatcher with a 2-run single in that game.
Chicago and St. Louis. Mark Grace with an RBI triple. Rafael Palmeiro with an RBI nothing into the Mets and Montreal. The Mets watching to get back to 500. The Expos lead this game 5. Pollock has a 2-run double in the Pittsburgh. Like with a cover of the RBI as well. 8-2 Pittsburgh in the 8th. The Giants 7-2. 6 runs. That's the second game that's happened. Throwing error by shortstop Matt Williams opening the door. Eric Davis in that game, by the way, was 4 for 5. Halftime. Pittsburgh on top 19-11. We will take a look at the carnage in the coaching ranks after this word and then send you back to more arena football action right after this.
Buy a washing machine.
I should I finally got a Frigidaire.
Ask for the one that lasts.
I should have bought a Frigidaire. I finally got a Frigidaire.
For the Frigidaire dealer nearest you, call 1-800-451-7007.
I'll take the Frigidaire. Now.
Frigidaire, here's tomorrow. How do we measure?
Question quantum physics and time and...
What does the future hold?
Slow, deep, soft. As the last 3 days.
Where do pictures come from? Hope. At last, a movie. All the answers. Kevin Costner. Susan Sarandon. Bull Durham. Rated R. Stay tuned.
Mornings are my quiet time. Afternoons. You know the stresses of the workday. If I don't get a good start in the morning, I might feel peaked. I hate that.
Wheat, 100% whole wheat, naturally low in sugar. That's Champion Nutrition. Big boy.
Gillette has changed the face of shaving. First, we made it closer. Then we made it smoother. Strip. Its lubricant strip actually releases lubricant, applying the razor more smoothly. Incredible smoothness from the first stroke. The system. First we made it closer, then we made it closer.
Job security has never been a long suit in the coaching profession, but what began in May is continuing apace in June. It's getting rough if you're a coach. Eric Clemens has a look.
The axe swung from the north-southwest on Monday. In Seattle, the Mariners, who'd never had a winning season, decided to change direction by firing manager Dick Williams, who'd been with them since '86. He was replaced by first base coach Jimmy Snyder. In the NBA, it was no real surprise when the Houston Rockets, losers in the first round of the playoffs to Dallas, fired two-time of the year Bill Fitch. The reasons? Well, you know them all.
He is one who has pretty much been in control of initiation, and judgment of his relative personnel, and it's too demanding for one job. So we've taken a look at it and said that we think we need 2 different positions in order that we can accumulate as much information as possible.
On Tuesday, Bruce got the news that the San Antonio Spurs had terminated his services while playing a round of golf. On Thursday, the Blackhawks' first-year coach, Bob Murdoch, who saw his team slip out of the playoffs in the first round, was dark about his firing. A report he'd been replaced by Flyers coach Mike Keenan.
I think that we can develop a work ethic and attitude towards competing on national.
You see, Keenan was done filing the top one-lost record in his past 4 years at Philadelphia. He was replaced by the guy in the headset, Al Holmgren. In the past 6 weeks, 10 firings have taken place. The NHL's unemployment line includes Jean Perron of Montreal, who resigned under... The St. Louis Blues went to the second round of the playoffs, but axed Jacques Martin regardless. Earlier this month, John Wetzel was ousted by the Phoenix Suns, who looked to change him. Diego, who saw a pair of frustrating games, could probably see the blade coming from Padre management. Perhaps it was a relief. The Atlanta Braves were as consistent at losing as Chuck Tanner was of optimism. So management said, so long, Chuck.
A lot of coaches have heard that this year. Let's get back now to Providence, to Roger and Steve at halftime. Pittsburgh on top 19-11. The arena football continues. Raj?
Pittsburgh leads New England 19-11. And down the field is our Steve Raible with Mike Hohensee. Steve?
All right, we're talking Pittsburgh. First question I ask you, you've thrown the ball pretty well, but you've taken some shots. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Shoulder to play with, and the line's trying as hard as they can. Always out and execute, and they got to believe in themselves up front there, and I'm trying to give them the confidence to block for me, complete the passes.
Quite frankly, maybe a little surprising that Pittsburgh is ahead by 8 points at this point, because, again, you've taken such a beating out there.
I'll tell you what, New England, we embarrassed them last time we played at 2 points. They're coming out, and I expect anything. They're coming out and doing a good job.
Here is one of the reasons why Pittsburgh is ahead right now. Take a look at the play by Mike. Describe this, Mike, scrambling, finding Hairston.
The blocking broke down, and I just went to the right, and we always have a scramble drill, and the backside man's supposed to take it deep, and Russell lays out and does a great job catching the ball as usual.
Certainly is nice to have Hairston back in the lineup, isn't it?
It really is. Having a double threat with Dawkins and Harrison helps my confidence.
Now, Pittsburgh is not a team to sit on a lead. For another reason, then you don't run the ball very much. What do you do in the second half?
We just come out and try to stick with our game plan. We don't want to go out there and, and just go crazy trying to change all these different things, because we had a good week of practice. We just have to make the catches and give me time.
Might go warm up the scene in a second. Mike Owens, our Gladiators. Roger?
Okay, thank you very much, Steve, and welcome back here to Providence, Rhode Island. We're at the Civic Center, and the Gladiators with a 19-11 lead over the New England Steamrollers. Touchdown was called back right at the end of the first half to preserve that lead. Now let's take a look at Harold Smith, quarterback for the New England Steamrollers. He evades some trouble from Craig Walls. He spins, he throws on the move back across the grain, and this is a perfect strike to number 9, Brian Gardner, his 3rd touchdown catch of the year, and the 18th touchdown pass on the year for Harold Smith, and of course for Brian Gardner, his longest touchdown reception of the season. And that tied up the game at 6. Now, the Pittsburgh Gladiators moved the ball down the field, and in the final minute of the first half, quick pitch to Powell, and the good block by Ernest Adams, and Powell is able to punch it in the end zone, and that made it 19-11, but New England still had some time. They drove the ball downfield, but the touchdown pass from Harold Smith to Hockaday was called back because of holding, and the field goal attempt by Bernie Ruoff was no good. So we've got a great game for you here. 19-11 to score at halftime as the Pittsburgh Gladiators looking for their 5th victory of the year. The Steamrollers of New England trying to win for the 2nd time. And we'll be back with second half action in a moment.
Kodacolor Gold 100 gives you the most accurate colors, the truest colors of any print film.
So don't be afraid, let them show.
A new Kodacolor Gold.
For every man who wears Brute deodorant, there's a woman who'll always be glad that he did. Because a man who wears Brute deodorant is nice to be close to. Brute. It smells like a man.
Great.
The days of the unreachables are over. Metro Media Paging announces the Reachable System. Call 1-800-437-BEEP and join the Reachables.
Present G-Shock watch from Casio. The water-resistant sports watch that's ready for action. With a built-in shock absorber. It's tough. So tough, this G-Shock can take a slap in the face and not even flinch. The Casio G-Shock, one tough watch to beat. The G-Shock is only one of Casio's unbeatable high-tech products.
Power, power, power. Now, you are playing with power.
Punch-Out by Nintendo. 11 world-class contenders. Take them controller, beat them all, and you've got a shot at Tyson's title.
Power.
But for that, you've got to beat Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
Let's check out the statistics from the first half of play. Pittsburgh 6 of 14, New England 8 of 17. Couple touchdown passes for Pittsburgh, 1 for New England. Passing yardage goes to New England. Penalty yards to New England. And the field goals, New England, Bernie Ruoff just 1 of 4 in his arena debut. And then the turnovers at 2, the 2 interceptions by the New England Steamrollers, who will kick it off with Bernie Ruoff to start the second half. Played collegiately at Syracuse and spent 14 years in the Canadian Football League, as Moran will take it 4 yards deep, up the near side, and across the 15 to the 16-yard line. Remember that Babe Perilli said he could get 10 points out of Bernie Ruoff. They'd win the game. He's got 3 so far.
Well, they've got 30 minutes of football yet to play, so they still have a lot of chances to get some points out of Ruoff. And remember, he's got to get warmed up to this game a little bit. He hasn't been with this team but 3 days.
Hohensee, the quarterback. Moran is in motion as we start the second half, and Pittsburgh with an 8-point lead. And the pass down the middle, intended for Julius Dawkins, and Hohensee on his back one more time. And in the first half, Joe Herring is a very active coach on the sidelines. Now, Joe decides not to be in the box where the rest of the team is, and now he's going to try to pick up the football and go with it. Now,
that got Woody Hayes in trouble, as I remember a few years ago.
Is Joe, you know,
they're laughing about it down there, but Joe is, hey, he's a competitor, and I think he'd love to put the shoes on and go out there and play.
Well, the coaches can be on the sideline. They've got about a 15-yard box there. As Hohensee throws it up to Hairston, and that looked like interference, and a flag is going down.
And that's one of the newcomers to this Steamroller team, Corny Ross, wide receiver and defensive back out of Humboldt State, so his first action here tonight.
Number 29.
And he gets called for a pass interference.
Chris Brewer.
I checked that. Chris Brewer on the call there. Get our numbers straight up here.
Well, we just had Brewer's 29 for New England, and Cornelius Ross is 29 for Pittsburgh. That would, you know, the newcomers came in.
The newcomers, that's right. All right, you got me.
Hey, look, we do it all the time, folks.
This arena football game is interesting.
Yeah.
Not the least of which is keeping track of players.
Hohensee nailed again, but he gets it to Moran. And Moran inside the 20 down to the 18-yard line, where Alvin Williams makes the tackle. There's a look at Brian Moran.
We're looking at the hit right there. That's why they wear pads, folks, in football. These guys are hitting each other. It doesn't matter if it's inside, whether the field is 50 yards long or what. Football is football, and in this game, you pass, you throw, you run, you catch, and you hit.
Hairston in motion, 2nd down and 2. Going to the end zone, and wide open is Julius Dawkins, as Dawkins, number 46, beats defensive specialist at number 46, David Hendley. So I'll tell you what, a healthy Hohensee and a healthy Dawkins have really got it back together this week for Pittsburgh.
Well, and as we talked to Mike Hohensee at the beginning of the second half, he's just licking his chops to have these guys in here, hopes they're both full speed, thinks that Hairston is going to be okay. I talked to him just a couple of seconds before we actually went on the air, and he says Hairston's ankle's a little bit sore, but he thinks he's going to be fine. And what a couple of weapons to have to throw to down there.
25-11 as Fricky comes on to attempt the point after. Brendan Fulmer to hold it. And once again, Fulmer with a little trouble putting it down, but Fricky able to knock it right through. And the Pittsburgh Gladiators with a 26-11 lead over the New England Steamrollers. We're at the Civic Center in Providence.
Round of lights here.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Let me know when you're ready for another round.
Napa's Best Tool Sale has the best deals on our best tools. Like this Napa 22-piece socket set for only $19.95. And Napa's best quality hand tools are guaranteed for life. Our sale, unfortunately, is not.
Roger Twibell, Steve Raible with you. And Steve, what a turnaround here. New England in the closing seconds of the first half, going in for the score. It's called back. It remains 19-11, and now Pittsburgh scores in their first possession. I'll tell you, this is what's happened to this team all year. They just get behind, and all of a sudden it's a different game.
Real change of momentum there at halftime. And again, Pittsburgh coming out excited to get going again. Hohensee said, just need my guys to block a little better. We'll be fine.
Williams, 45, is tripped up at the 18-yard line. I'll tell you, Brian Moran is a name we'll keep in mind for our Little Caesars Ironman Award tonight. He has done a lot offensively and defensively, and it's very important now for New England on this first possession of the second half to come out and do something as they trail 26-11.
You know, one thing we have seen tonight that I don't remember seeing nearly as much of in the 6 previous games, and that is fine run backs on the kickoffs. I think one thing that says is the kickers are not getting that ball up and into the net to give their cover men a chance to get downfield.
First and 10, Smith. He's got Hockaday inside the 20, down to the 16-yard line, as no less than 4 players finally brought down the big wide receiver out of the University of Georgia.
I tell you, every time I watch this kid run a pass route, he looks more and more like Steve Watson from Denver. Look at the moves. I mean, he spins around. He's got those long legs. A little late there, Mike. If you'd have hit him a little harder, you might have been called for that. Mr. Powell, number 44 from Pittsburgh, getting in there just a tad late.
Hockaday, a 4-year letterman for Vince Dooley. How about them dogs?
How about them dogs? Go Georgia Tech.
First and 10. And over on the far side of the field, Gardner makes the reception while sitting down at the 11-yard line. And we're told that Steve O'Malley of the New England Steamrollers is out for the rest of the game with a sprained left knee. And second down and 4 now. And this is an area where you would think Smith would be looking for Hockaday, that tall target in the end zone.
Well, as you have mentioned many times during the course of the season, the only place you can go in short yardage like this is up in the air.
A couple players jumped offside, and Smith just kind of throws the pass away. I guess the intended receiver would be Cletus Jones.
Nice job by Harold Smith with his cadence that time, drawing the Pittsburgh team into the neutral zone.
Defense, 3-yard penalty, still first down.
That's a 3-yard penalty. Offside on the defensive line. You know, we talked at the top of the show about Hockaday, you know, in a great game he had against Chicago offensively. He also made 5 tackles last week. And I think it's interesting to know when he started out at Tennessee, he played some defensive end as a freshman under Vince Dooley. And if you look at the careers of a lot of players, Steve, you know, they change positions. And I'll tell you what, sometimes those guys, they don't like when they're moved from one position to the other, and it's paying off dividends for Hockaday.
They're such good athletes, you have to use them where you need them.
Smith on the rollout decides to tuck it under, and not a real wise decision as he gets inside the 10 to the 9, but he's going to lose a yard there as Ernest Adams, 85, one of the men that came out to extend the defense.
Remember, we talked at the beginning of the game. We said we may see Harold Smith try to run the ball a little bit more. He's getting pretty good protection tonight. Walls, with only a few exceptions that I can think of, has been held at bay by the offensive linemen of New England. But Harold Smith, not terribly mobile, has done a pretty good job moving around back there.
Now, I mentioned 15% of third down opportunities, and they've got a 3rd and 2 here with Gardner, the man looping around in motion. Smith got it in the end zone. Touchdown for the New England Steamrollers and Jeff Oliver, number 89, one of the offensive linemen eligible.
And Jeff Oliver has a few fans around here, having gone to Boston College. You know what's great about arena football? Jeff Oliver, well, he plays the tip very well, was an offensive lineman in college. You were an offensive lineman. Yep. You don't get opportunities like this to go out and catch passes. Oh, he loves it, too. He gets to do a dance for all the hometown folks.
Just his 3rd reception of the year and his first touchdown reception. And Bernie Ruoff, who's kind of had a rude welcoming to arena football. And Mitchell pushes Hockaday across the line.
And everybody points at everybody else. He drew me off. No, it's his fault. Well, it's the offense's fault. So Ruoff will get backed up a couple of steps.
Well, I think the dream of every offensive lineman is to be able to spike the ball in the end zone. And there are a lot of very, very generous wide receivers who will find their favorite offensive lineman and give him the ball in the end zone and let him do that.
Thank you. I made a lot of offensive linemen very happy.
Ruoff, it made it. 26-17, and the Steamrollers back in it with 8 minutes to go, third quarter. And Babe Pirelli breathing a bit easier right now. And we'll return to Providence with more arena football here on ESPN right after this.
Introducing Stanley cordless tools with power that won't quit. Because unlike many other cordless tools, the new Stanley cordless drill and cordless screwdriver are designed with removable rechargeable battery packs. So the only time they stop working is when you do.
For sports news, turn to the experts. Experts who take you wherever sports happen, whatever time of day. ESPN Sports Center, America's sports authority.
Babe Pirelli, of course, a quarterback at Kentucky under Bear Bryant. Played many years in the NFL, AFL, Canadian Football League.
6 leagues in all. I think 11 different teams he's been associated with.
Also could kick the football. As Bernie Ruoff, the kicker for New England, winds it down, and Moran will bring it out. Moran across the 20 to the 21-yard line. And Brian Moran with another good return and good field position.
They have done a terrific job tonight, as Pittsburgh and has New England, in bringing those kickoffs back. And again, I think if Ruoff wasn't quite so new to the league, he might be trying to get that ball a little bit deeper.
Moran had only returned 2 kicks prior to this game for a total of 34 yards, but the longest had been 20, so he had the knack for it, and in the replacement of Rob Minor, he has done a super job tonight. Hohensee is going to be sacked immediately. Bembry was once again the man busting through the middle. Felton was also there, 98, and Oliver, 89. So those have been the 3, led by, look at Bembry.
Get excited a little bit. Again, you got to look at the comparisons. What Pittsburgh is up against in the front line. There's the sacks. Pittsburgh way, way out in front in sacks, but New England doing a pretty good job, especially here tonight, in getting pressure on the Pittsburgh quarterback, Mike Hohensee. Their guys are outweighed 15, 20, 25 pounds up front. Not a lot of fun. You kids out there, you think you want to play quarterback, you got to live with that.
Second down and 18. Hohensee trying to find a receiver. Looked like Burmeister. That's the first time we've called his name offensively tonight. At the 23-yard line. That time there was a lot of pressure on Hohensee, and he had to dip down sidearm and throw it.
You know, it's tough for Hohensee. Look at how much distance he's got to go here for the first down. It's now 3rd and a half a mile to go. You just don't throw the ball on a quick drop when you have that kind of yardage. 3rd and 18 to go. It's impossible. That's one of the problems for Pittsburgh tonight. They get themselves into 3rd and long situations. You can't possibly throw on a quick drop, and they can't protect the quarterback very well.
And the chant of defense rises here at the Providence Civic Center. Hohensee flips it down, and he was looking for Shepis. And I'll tell you what, the pressure is really getting to Mike Hohensee here, as he's having to adjust his throws. He can't get his natural rhythm, and he's talking to his receiver, Rick Shepis, that time, and maybe there was a mix-up on the pattern.
I think he's just telling him, hey, I did the best I could. I just didn't have a lot of time to throw the ball. You just keep running your pass routes, and I'll get you that football.
You know, I wish people could see the media guide for New England, because, you know, most of the pictures you take very straight on. Just Bembry's got his chin resting on his hand in kind of a tilted pose. He's a character, as we've seen, as Fricky attempts the field goal that's way short, and Gardner will bring it out. a couple of blocks across the 15 to the 17-yard line.
And did you see who was down there on that coverage? Quarterback Brendan Fulmer was in on the tackle.
New England has got some momentum. They trail it by 8 with 5:12 to go in the third.
Don't I get 2 pizzas for the price of 1?
Don't think of it as 1 pizza. Think of it as 1 pizza and 1 box.
What am I going to do with a box?
Ever hear of origami?
What's that?
A pterodactyl.
Oh, boy.
At Little Caesars, you never get just 1 pizza. You get
pizza.
2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
5:12 to go, third quarter. Along with Steve Raible, I'm Roger Twibell in Providence, Rhode Island. We're Pittsburgh, New England, 26-18, an arena football. And the clock will run continuously for the remainder of this quarter, and then it will stop in the final minute of the game on out-of-bounds and incomplete passes. And this is where we usually start to see Pittsburgh take over in the second half. Their two-way football players either seem to be more conditioned or more attuned to this game.
Well, they're, first of all and foremost, they're excellent defensive players. And I think regardless of the style of football, defense is going to win. At least that's what Joe Herring feels. And that's why Pittsburgh has taken over a lot of these games.
Smith is being traced by Demon Trinko. Long pass downfield. Hockaday catches it, and it's a touchdown. He had a foot in the end zone when he came back to the football.
And you talk about being a nice guy. Hockaday gave the ball to be spiked to Joe Williams. Now watch Harold Smith. Second time we've seen him do this. Sprint away from trouble. Looks downfield. There's Hockaday. He knows where the ball is. He was in the end zone, no question about that. Russell Hairston on the play, but just not there enough to make the play. And further back upfield, we have an injury for Pittsburgh, a player down on the field.
And trainer Bill Ingemi is out there with Kendall Walls.
Got hit on the inside of your neck. Okay, just relax. Let me check. Just relax. Give it to me. That's it. Good. You got hit here? Kendall, did you feel a
Kendall
pop or a
Walls
snap or anything like that?
Is the player for Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Number 95.
I want to find one spot where it hurts the most. Here? Anything here?
Okay, let's take a look on the right side of the screen. Bembry, 68. And you see him with a leg whip. And that's what Walls is down with his right knee. And let's go back to Bill Ingemi, the trainer.
Okay, good. Just relax. Did that bother you on the inside? Did that bother you on the inside? When I did that? Did that bother you? Okay. Same thing, just relax. On the inside? On the outside? Okay. Okay, let me check your knee. Just relax. Anything there? Okay.
Kendall Walls is saying he'll be all right.
Okay.
You don't realize the importance of these trainers until something like this happens. 26-24 is the score. Pittsburgh up by 2. And a close look, as we did have at Kendall Walls' knee, showed several dots, which means he's had some arthroscopic surgery already.
Yeah, he's been there before. Now,
right here.
We saw a player being helped off the field before the game, or a little earlier.
Well, Steve, you know how important that first step is, because sometimes you get up and you don't know if you have anything there or not.
Yeah, we saw Steve O'Malley literally being carried off in the first half. Happily, it was just a sprain. He's okay. Kendall Walls now pretty much going off under his own power. Leg whip, boy, they can really be painful, as you so well know.
32-yard touchdown pass, and this is what you got to love about this game, how you can score so quickly. And obviously, the New England team making that mistake at the end of the first half has not affected. Maybe it spurred them on. They've come back with 2 quick scores. Ruoff for the point after. He's got it. And it's now a 1-point football game. 26-25. 4:06 left to go, third quarter, and we got a good one from the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island.
Round of lights here?
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Let me know when you're ready for another round.
Because everything else is just a light.
New England has scored 14 quick points here, or at least over about a 10-minute span.
But in this game, that's quick. It goes quickly.
As Bernie Ruoff, who's playing his first game, kicks it off, and the low-line drive kick has been in vogue here tonight by both kickers as Moran takes it. Boy, what a great job by Brian Moran. Across the 20 to the 21-yard line. As we take a look at the scoring summary right now from the first quarter, Dawkins, a touchdown pass from Hohensee. Gardner, 45 yards from Smith. Then in the second quarter, Ruoff the field goal. Hairston, a 35-yarder from Hohensee. Hohensee was sacked for the safety, and then Powell, the 1-yard touchdown run, 19-11 at halftime. And then Dawkins, an 18-yard touchdown reception from Hohensee. And then Smith with a couple of touchdown passes to Oliver and Hockaday. And that's where we're at right now. 26-25 as Hohensee comes out with 3 receivers to the far side of the field and Hairston in motion. And he's got Russell Hairston at the 16-yard line, brought down over there by Larry Friday, a recent addition to this New England Steamroller team. Another player that played for Joe Herring.
He also more recently just played for the Detroit Drive and was released after 4 games. This is what I think Pittsburgh has to do more of right now. A, they have to give Hohensee the time to throw, but he has got to go to the well, to the guys who are going to deliver for him. And on this Pittsburgh team, that's his 2 standout receivers, Russell Hairston and Julius Dawkins. He has got to get the ball in their hands.
Now to the near side, Dawkins and Hairston lined up behind one another with Moran in the slot to the near side. Hairston's the motion man. Out of the backfield and wide open is Mike Powell. Powell inside the 10, down to the 8-yard line where Friday, number 31, and Rafferty, 28, come in to make the stop.
Powell was a linebacker at Weber State. He loves the opportunity to get his hands on that football. And again, filling in for Craig Federico, doing a nice job offensively and defensively. And it seems as though Powell has been out there the entire game. We called his number all game last week and again this week.
Played up in Canada at Saskatchewan and was an outstanding player at Weber State. Big Sky selection his junior and senior year, and had 12 sacks for his team in his senior season. Second down and 1. Hohensee comes back to the near side. Ernest Adams was so open he couldn't believe it. Steve, he caught the football and he stood there and he looked around and he said, "Where's everybody?"
He was scared to death. You know, that's the toughest pass to catch when there's nobody around you. Hohensee has everybody moving to his left. He just turns back and flips the pass right there. There is nobody within 8 yards of Ernie Adams, and he just tucks it under his arm. One thing, I give a little smack in there for Williams. One thing about Ernie Adams, he and Craig Walls, the only 2 Pittsburgh Gladiators not to miss any time this year because of injury. That's how tough this kid is.
I'll tell you what, he's had, as Fricky misses the extra point, Adams now has 5 catches this year, 3 for touchdowns, and the other was for a 2-point. One of the others was for a 2-point conversion.
Ernie Adams, again, that type of player that Joe Herring just loves. A linebacker. He, like Craig Walls, has been with Herring through a number of different teams, a lot of situations. They know each other very well. As we talked about last week, Joe Herring says this is the kind of kid, Ernie Adams, you just want to walk up and hug him. He's such a nice guy.
32-25 as you take a look at Ernest Adams from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And boy, the Big Ten for so many years. And maybe Florida produces as many good high school football players as any state in the country. But Adams spent some time with the Detroit Lions as a replacement player, was with the Portland Breakers of the United States Football League.
Yeah, he's seen a lot of this country. And just now he saw the end zone, and happily for Pittsburgh.
Do you ever realize how lucky you were to just go and play for one team in your pro career?
You know, very few people ever get to start and finish with one team.
Gardner. Across the 10 to the 11-yard line, and I think a point, you know, should be made here, Steve, that we mentioned just a little bit earlier about the Pittsburgh Gladiators and their propensity to wear teams down in the second half. Last week against Detroit, we saw them really play terrible in the first half, but they came back in the second half, and they were the stronger team. They finished strong. We saw them earlier this year. They have outscored their opponents throughout the second half of football games this year by a wide margin, almost a 2-to-1 margin. And
yeah, they shut out Detroit last week, of course.
Smith to Rafferty on the near side. Moran, who was all Ohio Valley, makes the tackle. Two guys just about the same size right here, both about 6 feet tall, about 200 pounds.
As we see it from the other side of the field, make sure you secure that catch as a receiver. You know you're going to get hit. Protect that football and get out of bounds.
20 seconds left to go, down to 16 now in the third quarter. And what an important game this is for New England. I mean, this is do or die. If they don't win this one, playoff chances are slim to none. Williams has got an open field, and who's there? Moran to bring him down from behind at the 18-yard line. Brian Moran has played some kind of football game through 3 quarters. He's got 15 minutes left to go as Pittsburgh leads New England 32-25.
They'll cut me right off the bottom line. Maybe I better not show it to them.
No doubt in my mind, it's a case we can win.
There's one airline that knows its business so well, it actually lets you keep your mind on yours.
3-part strategy.
United, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve.
Our guys flying tonight. Theirs tomorrow. We all fly on Thursday.
Come fly the friendly skies.
They got this covered or what?
This is where Michael Jordan kept practicing his jump shot when he didn't make varsity. This is where George Brett kept fielding after his team lost the state finals.
Wildcat ball.
And this is where Walter Payton played every game his freshman year as a drummer in the marching band. What do these legends have in common? They've always had a will to win. And they've always had a Wilson.
The 24 Hours of Le Mans is underway, and ESPN is there. Stay tuned for live coverage throughout today and the exciting finish morning, only on ESPN.
How can you improve?
Hello, Napoli's Pizza. We deliver.
Call or come in to Napoli's, where you get the best pizza in town. We have dinners, salads, and daily specials. So, where are you going to go for dinners, for daily specials, and for salads? And where are you going to go for the best pizza in town?
Napoli's Pizza, and we deliver.
Give your home a new look, a bright sunny style, with a custom-designed solarium from Lakeside Glass. Aesthetically designed to adapt to any new or existing structure, your beautiful glass addition will be functional and economical, substantially reducing your home heating costs. A Lakeside Glass-built solarium will give your home great versatility and you a beautiful new outlook. So call Lakeside Glass about a custom-designed solarium. Lakeside Glass, 44 Broad Street in Nashua, for all your home and auto glass needs.
Roger Twibell, Steve Raible back with you in Providence. Pittsburgh with a 7-point lead as we head into the final 15 minutes. And Harold Smith, Steve, has been red hot. 6 out of 6 in the second half. A couple of touchdowns.
And he has gotten some excellent protection against a fine defensive team for Pittsburgh.
Going deep, and Gardner got turned around, and Smith got dumped on his back by Mike Powell.
And that's where he remains, slow to get up. Powell in there on him. Just as we say, he's getting great protection. Mike Powell breaks free and nails Harold Smith as he releases the ball. Gardner had no chance to find that one. It sailed way over his head.
See, the passing yards, New England leads Pittsburgh 219-148. That's not an unusual statistic because that's the way it goes. Usually New England allows the fewest. Pittsburgh allows the most, but one of them's got a 4-2 record and the other one's 1-5. As Smith intended for Hockaday, and that ball should have been caught at the 6-yard line. Hockaday with just 35 receptions at Georgia, but that was a run-oriented football team.
Oh, yeah, you're talking Vince Dooley down there. 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Hockaday just runs a real nice route, a long-legged receiver, and you know it's tough for a kid like that to plant those feet and get turned around quickly. Pass he should have had, there's no question about it, but still a nice route.
3rd down and 10. And this is an area that New England has had problems. And Powell has got Smith and dumps him inside the 20 at the 19. And Harold Smith is a very frustrated quarterback. And you'll remember a couple of weeks ago against New York, took a swing at an opposing player and found the player's helmet and had to leave the game with a busted up hand.
Harold gets pretty excited out there on the field and not very wise as a quarterback. He's gotten great protection. Mike Powell grabbed him, throws him to the ground, kind of rubs it in just a little bit. Harold's going to get up and protect himself, but you got to be smart about it. You just don't get up and swing when you're a quarterback.
3rd sack of the year for Powell as Ruoff from the 15. It's a 43-yard attempt. Good snap. Got it, sir. Like you said, hadn't done much so far tonight, but finally knocked a long one in. And it's a 5-point lead, 32-28, and that could be a big factor. Excuse me, a 4-point lead.
If I don't get a good start in the morning, I might feel peaked. I hate that.
Wheaties, 100% whole wheat, naturally low in sugar. That's champion nutrition.
What the big boys eat.
First, Gillette made shaving closer. Then we made it smoother. With Atra Plus, its Luber Smooth Strip glides the razor over your face for Gillette's smoothest shave. The Atra Plus system. First, we made it closer. Then we made it smoother.
Pittsburgh 32, New England 28. Bernie Ruoff playing his first arena game. Connects on a 43-yard field goal. And New England trailing by just 4 right now. As Ruoff will kick it to Moran at the goal line. Moran's kind of sneaky. He just paces himself, keeps his head looking straight ahead, doesn't try to go too wide, but looks for that little seam.
He's been in there a lot tonight as well, and he's going to get a well-deserved rest as he comes off the field, number 31. There you see Ruoff on the far sideline for the Steamrollers. They didn't have to go too far to get him. He lives up in Ontario on a farm where he raises, of all things, Russian wolfhounds. And he's a guy that led Hamilton to a Grey Cup championship a couple of years ago. So 8 points now for Ruoff. What did Pirelli say? He
needed 10.
Needed 10 points and out of his kicker, and they had a great chance of winning. We'll see what happens.
Hairston in motion. 12 minutes. 15 seconds left. Hairston. And at the 20-yard line is pulled down there. That's Larry Friday.
Larry Friday, a pretty sure tackle that time on a dangerous receiver, Russell Hairston. You see Russell make the catch, plant. Oh, nice move. But Larry Friday hangs on. And not unlike Larry Friday, he once had 14 tackles in a game against the University of Alabama. So this guy knows how to wrap people up from Mississippi State. New to this Steamroller
Bulldog. Pittsburgh has outscored their opponents 142-91 in the second half of games so far this year, and Hohensy's got them moving one more time. Inside the 15, Rick Shepis makes the catch, and 29 on the tackle there was Chris Brewer, who hasn't seen a lot of playing time, Steve, and for good reason. Had kind of a bad game last week.
Well, I think if Babe Pirelli has a doghouse up here in Providence, Chris Brewer may be in it. We're looking there at Rick Shepis, the youngster from Youngstown State. Pretty good football player, good receiver. Plays his share of defense as well. Chris Brewer dropped a couple of passes last week, including a short touchdown reception. Of course, New England lost last week. 2nd and 3. Hohensy's got Dawkins, touchdown.
Dawkins beats Chris Brewer. And for Julius, his third touchdown catch of the night. Well, that doghouse just got a little bigger.
It did. Owensy almost didn't get the handle on that snap, and he throws it with guys hanging all over him. Chris Brewer clearly beaten by Julius Dawkins, but then again, Julius has beaten an awful lot of defensive backs this season. Out of the University of Pittsburgh, Julius Dawkins, a nice reception there, and a great pass by Owensy under pressure.
And Fricky will come on to attempt the point after and try to give Pittsburgh an 11-point lead. And he just misses it. So the lead will stay at 10 for the time being, and with 10-10 left to go in this football game, the Gladiators are outscoring New England right now, and they lead at 38-28.
Kevin Costner.
I'm Crash.
Susan Sarandon.
Annie Savoy.
Your place or mine?
Despite my rejection of most Judeo-Christian ethics, I am, within the framework of the baseball season, monogamous.
Give me a break.
It's true.
Bull Durham. America's other national pastime. Rated R.
Crash, so fabulous.
Starts Wednesday, June 15th.
Monday, an America's Cup 88 special. Come aboard the super high-tech Challenger from New Zealand and find out what the courtroom controversy is all about. Monday night at 8 Eastern only on ESPN.
Roger Twibell, Steve Raible back with you in Providence, and hope you fans are enjoying this game, because this is a great thing about arena football. I mean, none of these players or coaches are looking at the clock and trying to hold on. They're just trying to score the most points, and whoever does is going to win this game.
Joe Herring told us in the game they played with the Steamrollers earlier in the year, the 82-26 game. He tried not to score in the fourth quarter, and they scored.
Look at this off the net, but it catches the loose part of the netting in that 9.5-foot area. And the ball will be brought out to the 5-yard line. So the scoring in this league, which is after the first couple of weeks dropped down rather consistently. But look at, whenever Pittsburgh plays, you know that's not going to happen, because they have no intention of sitting on the ball. They have no intention of running the football. Their intention is to score points.
And to stay in this game, New England's going to have to do the same thing. And quite frankly, has done a great job of it. Babe Pirelli and his coaching staff have done a fine job. I think Babe feels like he's still a player or two away, as I think all these coaches really feel like. They had just a couple of more players. And again, injuries are something that has decimated Pittsburgh, for instance. New England not quite as bad.
Smith going deep on the first play to Hockaday.
A little bit of a miscommunication, I think, because Hockaday really hadn't intended running that deep. It didn't appear to me, and then the ball went sailing out there. He took chase after it, but no such luck.
Well, this is the time of the game with 9:22 to go, when all of a sudden your legs start feeling like lead, and then after that, you feel like there's a piano on your back after you've run about 40 yards.
And you come back to the huddle, and you do it again.
Yeah.
You do it 2 or 3 more times, and you turn around and play defense, then special teams.
2nd and 10. Hockaday, and he's got it right at the 15. That'll be a first down. Brian Moran. Boy, we've called those two names a lot. Hockaday and Moran.
Harold Smith, right on the money. You couldn't ask for a better pass as a receiver. If you're going to run a hook, please, quarterback, keep it down to protect my ribs and kidneys, and that's exactly what he did.
So a first down for New England. Clock will continue to run here until the final minute of this game, when it will stop on incomplete passes and out-of-bounds plays. There is a 30-second clock. You've got to get that play off within 30 seconds. As Smith comes near side to Alvin Williams. And that's just showing him something short.
Testing the cornerbacks, and in that case, Russell Hairston, number 23, in on the play. One of the defensive players on the play. As Alvin Williams said, get that ball to me a little bit quicker so I can make a move and get upfield.
Got a lot of Williams. You got Alvin, got Joe, got Paul. It's like the Johnsons in the NBA. We got the Williams in arena football.
Tough to keep them all straight. Only one Harold Smith, though, and he's having a pretty good second half out here, I mean to tell you.
Well, Smith and Williams both played at Texas Southern collegiately. 2nd down and 7. And that was a mistake as Walls comes up with another sack to add to his league-leading total. Also, Pat Ogren was in there, as Smith looked like he had something in mind, and he hesitated momentarily, and all it was that slight moment.
What do they say about he who hesitates? He pulls the ball down, and finally Craig Walls is able to get through. We haven't called Pat Ogren's number very often tonight either. But again, this is what Pittsburgh hopes to do, that by the fourth quarter, their quick guys will out-quick the big guys blocking on them. That's what they hope to do. Hasn't worked all that well so far tonight.
Well, you can see both teams with 3 sacks, and that time 54 Walls beat 54 Kevin Murphy. And there's some movement on the line. And flags go down everywhere, and Ogren's pointing toward New England.
False start. 68 on the offense.
And while we have a second, Roger, we want to say hello to one of the players who started this season with the New England Steamrollers. As a matter of fact, started at center for them and is back home in Tennessee. Just has had neck surgery. Mike Neese out of Tennessee, Chattanooga. A fine young prospect with this Steamroller team. There's a chance, we understand, talking to the coaches, that he may not play football anymore. Well, we certainly wish Mike Neese the best. Fine young man, fine young football player, and I know he's watching his Steamrollers tonight, saying, boy, would I be tired right now if I were playing.
Yeah, but hope you get healthy real soon, Mike. On a 3rd and 21, Williams makes the catch and can't break loose from the tackle of Julius Dawkins. It's up to the 16-yard line, and they're going to have about 9 yards to go. The clock running with 6:23, and Ruoff will come on. And with a 10-point lead right now, Ruoff could cut it to 7. Now, the one thing that's missing here is the drop kick, which David Jacobs, who used to be with his team, could do, but Jacobs was not that successful with the drop kick.
The problem for Dave is he wasn't successful with any of the kicks, or he'd still be here.
You get 4 points on a drop kick for a field goal rather than 3. This is a 50-yarder by Ruoff. He's got the distance, and it's off the net. Dawkins will down it, and a good play there. I'll tell you, communication on those 2 guys back there is so important when that net is a factor in these arena games. So with 5:49 left to go, Pittsburgh holds on to a 10-point lead over the New England Steamrollers.
Metro Media Paging presents The Unreachables. I used to miss important messages. People said, you're unreachable. Once my midnight flight was canceled and no one could reach me to tell me. Spent the night sleeping on the airport check-in counter. Next day, I called Metro Media Paging and asked for the Reachable system. It's #1 in the business. This unreachable is now reachable. Pardon me, it's my trusty travel agent.
The Reachable system from Metro Media Paging. Call 1-800-437-BEEP. The days of the unreachables are over.
Got a big weekend of auto racing here on ESPN. The 24-hour of Le Mans, 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time update, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time finish. The Grand Prix of Canada at 12:20 Eastern, and the Budweiser 400. So a big auto racing weekend for you right here on ESPN. And, of course, you can't see any more auto racing on any other television network than you can on ESPN.
And boy, I love auto racing. I'll tell you, 24 hours of Le Mans.
Well, you get a great mixture of it, don't you?
Sure. Little Grand Prix.
You get the good old boys, you get the guys in the sports cars, and keep everybody happy.
Tonight, the fans in Providence being kept pretty happy by their team, but they've got to play some defense now and stop Pittsburgh from scoring.
Hohensee is tackled in the end zone for a safety. A penalty marker is down, and I was just about to ask you, Steve, if Pittsburgh would be a little cautious here as the call is holding. And it is a safety, so that's a second safety tonight, and that makes it an 8-point game.
Is a safety.
No, you talk about sitting on a lead. No way for Pittsburgh. Pull down.
That's the 3rd sack for Sylvester Bembry tonight.
That's right. He's had a whale of a game this evening, and he not really considered the best pass rusher on this New England team, and yet he's the one that got in there, puts 2 more points on the board. And believe me, folks, every point counts in this game. And you can score so many different ways that no lead is safe. Still lots of time to go. Pittsburgh, as you say, Roger, they will not sit on anything here.
Murphy was the guy that Pirelli had talked about being, really playing the best of any of their defensive linemen. But Bembry's been the man tonight. So now it's an 8-point lead with 5:32 to go. And Pittsburgh has to kick it off. I just think that Joe Herring figures he's got enough confidence in his defense and even more confidence in his offense. And that's just not his style. This will be off the net, and Gardner takes it. And he's tackled at the 14-yard line. 67 Dave Otfar, who told me before tonight's game the groin injury, which knocked him out of the game at Detroit, he says guys were starting to talk to him like he was an NFL player. He said 3 plays and out. That was... He says, I got to stay in there a little bit longer tonight. And you can see he's hurting a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Not the least of which is the fatigue factor, I think.
He said, Otfar said, he says, that groin injury you just can't imagine. He says, I think it's about the closest thing a man can feel about having a baby. He says, that's how, he said. But he had about 10 days off since their last game, and so he's in there. And New England's got it 1st and 10. Smith bobbles it momentarily. Heaves it downfield. Moran is interfered with. That will not be a touchdown. It's signaled a touchdown. It's signaled a touchdown, but Raftery really pushed off on Moran.
Oh, Raftery just knocked him down. Pushed him right in the back. Now it's going to go against Pittsburgh. Holy Toledo. Joe Herring is...
Defense number 31.
Oh, I can't believe that call.
Gracious. Well, let's take a look. Now, first, the bobble snap on the ground. Defense should be on that right away. Here he goes again. Smith rolling out away from trouble and just heaves one downfield. Now, we can't see the defender. There it is. Look at Moran falling down. He got pushed in the back. Great catch by Raftery. No question about that on the fingertips. But from that angle, it looked as though Moran was pushed from behind. But the official certainly didn't see it that way.
Well, there's Rafferty's Raiders in section 118, in case you're interested. And second touchdown catch of the year. And with 4 minutes and 23 seconds and counting left, it's 38-36, and New England will go for the 2-point conversion. Smith eats it. My gosh, you just got to throw it up in that situation. Just throw it off the net. Do something. That's why the net's there.
Absolutely.
When in doubt, throw it off the net.
Sure, take a shot. What can you lose? What can you lose?
We saw that earlier in the game. As Fulmer on the extra point conversion that went awry. So, Pittsburgh maintains a 2-point lead. We'll be back.
Aged Budweiser with your name on it.
36 yards on the touchdown pass from Smith to Rafferty on a controversial call. As we get set for the kickoff now, 38-36, 2-point lead for the Pittsburgh Gladiators is Ruoff. That's going to be off the net. Moran, I'll tell you, you got to have a little third baseman in you. You know, you got to have a little third baseman in you. Now, very controversial call here. Raftery, the intended receiver, Moran, the defensive man.
There's the fumble. We see that. Smith with the bobble. He's looking downfield, but he doesn't see the guy back here till now. Now, keep your eyes on the lower left side of your screen. Watch 28 on 31. Did that look like he was pushed, number 31, pushed from behind?
I saw Raftery with a right hand going out, and that official could not see that because he was on the other side. There is a player down on the field at the 5-yard line at the other end, a New England Steamroller player, and that's 28, and that's the man that just caught the touchdown pass, Raftery.
So Raftery remains down while his teammates get a little bit of a breath here and figure out how they are going to get that ball in the end zone.
Rafferty played collegiately at Colgate. A couple pretty good running backs came out of there, like Mark Van Egan. Seemed like the Raiders always had a propensity for Colgate running backs.
Or find somebody back east who, not a big name, but ends up going in and playing for years and years for the Los Los Angeles Raiders, or then Oakland Raiders. Al Davis has a way of finding them.
So an injury on the field with 3:59 left to go in this game. And Rick Buffington, the defensive assistant for New England, has gathered his troops, or excuse me, the offensive man. And we'll be back in just a moment.
When was the last time you enjoyed buying a car? At McMulkin Chevrolet of Nashua, a good time is as important as a good deal. A good deal is what you'll find on these Chevrolet cars and trucks. Our pros will help you get the best deal on that Chevrolet, and you'll have a good time doing it. Service is a word we mean when we say service. Why not start where more people end up? McMulkin Chevrolet, Daniel Webster Highway South, Nashua, New Hampshire.
Remember the Kahala Restaurant, Amherst Street, Nashua, when you want the best in Chinese, Polynesian, Szechuan, and American dishes. All our meals are prepared with quality ingredients and expert hands. Take advantage of the Kahala Luncheon Buffet, Monday through Friday, 11:45 till 2 p.m. for only $4.99. Tuesday through Sunday, relax and enjoy live entertainment in Kahala's Paradise Lounge. Kahala's also offers you complete takeout service. Kahala Restaurant, Amherst Street, Nashua.
Rafferty is being helped off the field as well, he got shaken up on that last play.
And he was really woozy. I mean, he was stumbling as he was walking. Young man, played semi-pro football and defensive back in college. Final football player, and a great catch down here, regardless of what the penalty was. A great catch down here in the far end zone just a couple seconds ago.
I was an all-around athlete in college, and at one time during his sophomore year in college led the nation in interceptions. So he knows a little bit about pushing off defensively, even though he was the offensive man there. But he's got his team right back in this thing, 38-36. As let's see now what Pittsburgh's posture will be offensively here. Hohensee going to Dawkins. I know what their posture is. Go for it.
Boy. He had Larry Friday, too, on the post route. Hohensee just let him too much on it. Julius Dawkins just racing away from him, and Joe Herring saying, well, we had a shot at him. We took it. There you see, once again, the pass looking for the post.
I just don't think it's in the character of Joe Herring to hold back on anything.
Oh, of course not. No, not Joe. Just watch him down on the sidelines between plays.
Second down and 10. Clock under 3 minutes now. Moran is nailed. Hockaday came over. I'll tell you what, a couple defensive players had Moran, and Hockaday saw his birthday lights come on.
Again, kid who was a pretty good all-around athlete down in Georgia, but struck to wide receiver once he got to the University of Georgia playing for Vince Dooley. But he's a good-sized guy, 6'5", over 200 pounds, and he'll hit you. Last week, what did we say, had 5 tackles along with being the leading receiver in last week's game.
2 minutes, 23 seconds left to go. Third down and 6. Now, Hohensee doing a good job on that 30-second clock. He's getting that down inside 10. Down the middle, great catch by Julius Dawkins. Right at midfield, Alvin Williams was all over him, and Dawkins showed you some tremendous athletic ability right there.
And that's one of those passes that Pittsburgh really needed. A third down situation. Still plenty of time left. They needed a first, and Julius Dawkins went up and got that one. That's one of those deals where he says, that's my ball, I'm going to go after it. Now the officials are chatting about something. New England calls a timeout on the field. Mike Hohensee goes to the sideline to talk with his coaches.
Dawkins has got 3 touchdown catches tonight, and twice during one season at Pitt, he got 4 touchdowns in one game. He was a 12th round pick of Buffalo back in '83, and a tremendous high school player, parade high school All-American. And I tell you, I love the posture that Joe Herring takes. It's positive. And when you think positive, your players think positive, and you say, hey, what the heck? Sitting on a football to me has always been a negative. It makes you hold back. And I think, Steve, as an offensive player, you got to agree that just as many things on the football field when you're aggressive are going to happen good for you as when you're not aggressive.
Right. One of the guys who's been very aggressive out here tonight, Jimmy Rafferty, the wide receiver for the Steamrollers, taken off the field a moment ago. You saw it. Broken finger and a sprained neck. Oof. So he's in a lot of pain over on the sideline.
2 minutes left to go. 1st and 10 now. That inside, that's a little counter play. It gets a couple of yards, but that's just a basic old football play from high school. 31-32 counter, where if you got a slot back or a wing back, you bring him around inside. The inside men crack back on the block, and the timeout is taken by New England as Buffington, the defensive coordinator, comes out in the field with 1:45 left.
And you appreciate this, Roger, of course, as a lineman. But you know what is nice about a play like that? You know, pass blocking is tough. A little inside counter blocking, a little easier.
We get the ball back, we can go for a field goal.
And, of course, he's got the new field goal kicker to try for.
You know, Babe told us this morning that things had gotten so bad at quarterback. They have signed now a third quarterback, but he was going to go out and actually he felt he could play a little bit if he didn't have to take any hits.
Babe, the ultimate optimist. And maybe a few years ago, you know, he might have. He played a long time. Backed up, of course, Joe Willie there.
Ruoff is going to feel some pressure right now. And Ruoff is, folks, trying to impress some people in the NFL. Now, he played out his option up in Canada. And, of course, there are, I would imagine, Steve, going to be some kickers from this league who, right after this season's over, can go into an NFL camp, and possibly some players, too. And you see what New England did in their first 6 games. 2 of 20 on the field goals, 4 of 13 on point afters. And Ruoff has been a little bit more successful than that. But whether he'll get a chance or not is another story. Right. 2nd and 8 with 1:45 to go. Moran is the motion man. Powell with the reception, and that's going to be a holding call. That's going to be a holding call. Ernest Adams is going to be the guilty party as Powell brought it out to the 20.
And Ernie knows it, and he's not arguing about it at all.
I'll tell you, he's got his hands on his hips, and he's sucking eggs right now, as we used to say. Sometimes you're just too tired to do anything else.
You know, you want to protect your quarterback, and whether coaches actually tell you this, you as an offensive lineman have to say to yourself, I'm not going to let my guy get hit, even if I have to grab at him.
1:39 left to go. Let's take a look at it. You see him.
Ernie Adams, number 85 in a white jersey. He has him, you can see clearly he has him, twists him all the way around, and then lets him go. Nice catch by Powell. Too bad it doesn't count.
I've often wondered, maybe why not, as the officials now are going to have to remember to pick up their flag, why not maybe you get like that, try a little drive block? Because you're not really going to push them that far off the line of scrimmage, but just you're trying to neutralize people. Sure. 3rd down and 7 as the penalty was declined. Hohensee to Powell. He runs over a defender. He gets it down to the 16-yard line. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough for the 1st down, but with 1:14 to go, they're stopping the clock, and they're going to take a measurement. And they decided now it's going to be 4th and 1, and the clock will start running. And now what Pittsburgh will do, they'll let it run down to 1 minute where it will stop to tell both teams you've got 1 minute left. I don't know if it's going to do any good to go for 3 here, because they're only up by 2.
So New England scores a touchdown, in other words, you're saying. They can come back and get back in this game. I don't know. Let's take a look. They're going to run it down and talk about it.
Well, let's discuss the options here. 38-36, a minute left to go. It's 4th and 1. Now, if they kick the field goal, they're going to lead by 5, which is going to give New England almost the entire last minute with 2 timeouts. They've taken 1 timeout with 2 timeouts left to go, and to go for the touchdown. If they kick the field goal here, as we said, that would be 5 points. If they go ahead and keep the ball and go for the yard.
Remember, though, not a running football team. What is this team going to do to pick up a yard?
But they do have a couple of running plays, and Powell has shown some good moves out there tonight. But they make the 1st down, then New England has to use the timeouts, and then they can think about it. And I think being the positive type of guy that Herring is, the aggressive type of guy, they're going to go for it. That's what they're going to do. Look for the option to the right. Like I said, look to the option to the right, and Powell went left. and it looks like he got the first down. All he needed to do was get to the 15, and now they're moving it back.
He has to get, as a matter of fact, just this side of the 15. It's going to be close now, depending on that spot. And that's one of those deals. Where does the official, does he put his inside foot or his outside foot to make that mark? You don't see many measurements in this game.
No, you don't. This is the first one we've seen this year.
And if Joe Williams doesn't get out of the way, they'll never get the measurement done.
So like I said, they were going to go right like they did in Detroit a couple weeks ago. They had both receivers out to the far right.
Everybody.
I think he got it.
Nope.
No, he didn't.
He must be 6 inches short. So Rusty Fricky, who maybe could have made it, maybe not, hasn't been the most successful kicker this year.
I don't know if we can see that again. I should preface that by saying I think he got up to the 15-yard line and they moved it back.
If they moved the spot back, it's because they said that's where his body touched the ground, not where the ball ended up. At any rate, a good defensive football team in the Pittsburgh Gladiators has got to hold now with 51 seconds remaining in this football game.
And a couple of timeouts as they bring both Alvin Williams and Gardner to the near side. Hockaday split to the top of your screen, and there's a holding, and they didn't call it. Williams makes the catch, and he's pulled down at the 20. Boy, I got to tell you, Powell got horse-collared as New England hurries it up.
And New England dodged a bullet because that very easily could have been called. Coming down to the wire.
Walls is knocked down, and the catch is made, and out of bounds goes Hockaday. That's a first down inside the 25 to the 20-yard line. And Ruoff, hey, he's 36 years old.
He says, I don't feel any pressure. He says, I've been to the big ones. He said, I helped him win a Grey Cup. No problem for me.
Ruoff has 8 points tonight. 8 points tonight. And Babe Parilli said, if I can get Ruoff to get me 10 points, we'll win it. Well, Ruoff will get him 11, and they could very well win it. 21 seconds left to go. Alvin Williams split to the near side. Gardner and Hockaday at the top of your screen. Hockaday with the catch at the 9-yard line.
2 great catches in a row by Jim Hockaday. Clutch catches on the sideline. Remember, Brian Moran has played the entire game. He's run almost every kickoff out. He's been on a lot of defensive plays. The young man is tired, and Jim Hockaday, who's played just as much, is making the catch on the sideline.
And this is where that height that Hockaday possesses of 6 feet 5 inches tall really comes into play, because those defensive backs, those legs just won't jump anymore. They've got a first down and goal from the 9. 23 seconds left to go. All they need to do, they've got 1 timeout left. Hairston nearly intercepts it. Hockaday, the intense receiver. And, Steve, let's ask you about this now. They're definitely within range for Ruoff as we take a look at the defensive play.
Watch Hockaday become a defender right here, because I thought Russell Hairston had a great chance at intercepting that pass. I think if you're New England, you got a new kicker. I'm telling you, this is a narrow thing. You go and try to make the touchdown here until you got almost no time left. You use your last time out. You bring your kicker on, and you pray that he can make this chip shot field goal if and when you get the opportunity.
They have 1 timeout remaining with 19 seconds left to go. Hairston is covering Hockaday, who's got the inside. Smith, oh goodness, off the net, it's intercepted. Powell takes it. Powell could go all the way, and he does. Unbelievable. Dave Parilli.
How many times, Roger, have we heard this season, you can see anything in arena football?
And you usually do.
And you do. Mike Powell, who has played, and look at Gardner and Smith. They had the chance.
I'll tell you, you know that feeling? You didn't eat anything bad, but you feel so sick
They're so tired. They're so spent. One play, maybe two plays, could possibly win them a football game, and instead they watch it go 50 yards the other way with an interception for a touchdown. Great effort by Pittsburgh. Great guts by New England. Here we go from the other side.
Hockaday is on the inside and has got it. And he overthrows it. It just slips out of his hand.
Could he have been throwing it to play it off the net? No. I can't imagine in this situation he would. But that's exactly what happened. And Mike Powell, as tired a young man as he is, 44 against 44 going the length of the field for 6 to put this one away for Pittsburgh. What a way to finish a football game.
45-36. There are 5 seconds on the clock. 5 seconds on the clock. And I'll tell you, those are the two owners of the New England Steamrollers.
And they're asking Babe Pirelli, what the heck happened? And Babe said, oh, if I only knew.
NFL, see? This is the 7th game, Bob.
Oh, Bob, no.
You threw it off the ground. What do you got to kick a field goal and it's all over.
We did it. Perfect. That kicker would have made it, too.
So the owners are telling Babe Pirelli you should have kicked the field goal.
It's easy to do when you're not calling the plays.
It's out of bounds. Now, wait a second here. Boy, unfortunately, it's 45-36. That's a 9-point lead, and even with a touchdown, and if you had somebody to drop kick it, you got the 2-point, you still come up a point short.
The ball will come out to the 20.
The field goal. We'll go onside kick. Yeah. Field goal team, let's go.
All right, so what Babe wants to do, I think, is go for the field goal. If he makes it, go for the onside kick to try to give himself another opportunity to score here. Boy, what a finish. And again, it's not finished. I haven't heard any fat lady sing yet, so it's not over.
Now, Ruoff is going to try the field goal.
Now, remember,
5 seconds.
3 points for the field goal. No time will run off virtually. Onside kick, they get the ball back. Score 6. They're all tied up again.
And he made it. But you know what? There's no time left, and you know what that does? The owner's over there going, see, I told you.
We should have done it earlier.
See, I told you. He should have kicked the field goal. Final score, 45-39, and one of the most interesting finishes to a football game that you could ever imagine. Well, hey, look at you're an old football guy. You said you'd go to the touchdown yourself.
That's exactly what I would do. I'd have no question with what Babe Pirelli did on that play.
Well, we're pleased to announce that Brian Moran of the Pittsburgh Gladiators is our Little Caesars Pizza Ironman player of the game. He was all over the football field tonight. Hey, maybe Mike Powell would have gotten the nod, but I'll tell you what, Moran had a super game, and there's a couple of unhappy owners. Frank Russo in the white jacket, Bob Andriola behind him in the glasses, and Babe Pirelli, and they're having a discussion. And hey, look at the owners, they pay the bills, so they get to second guess.
That's one of the things about being a coach. You have to live with it.
And so do we.
That's right.
Right. The Gladiators 45, the New England Steamrollers 39. We'll be back with more in a moment.
May I point out our special offer? 2 pizzas for the price of 1.
Oh, thank you very much.
Excuse me, your shoelace is untied.
Oh. Yes, I'd like that 2-for-1 offer.
I'm sorry, that offer has expired.
But I just bent over to tie my shoelaces.
He did. He bent over.
There's nothing I can do.
Show him your shoelaces.
Some pizza places have temporary 2-for-1 offers. Little Caesars, you always get
pizza.
2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Fuss with shampoo and conditioner? Who needs it? I want to wash my hair and go. And now I can with Pert Plus. Complete shampoo plus complete conditioner in 1 bottle. Pert Plus leaves my hair clean, conditioned, and looking terrific. Before, to get results this good, I used shampoo and conditioner. No more. Now, with Pert Plus, I just wash and go.
Pert Plus, shampoo plus complete conditioner in one.
Oh, look at me back in the 60s, working up a sweat. Oh, and that's how I used to pump iron.
Not today. Today we're exercising more and eating less red meat. But red meat is a great source of iron.
Only Kellogg's Bran Flakes has high fiber and 100% of the iron recommended today.
So now I pump a little iron outside and inside. You know, I haven't felt this good since I burned that bathing suit.
Kellogg's Bran Flakes.
I'm even jazzier in my BVDs.
Hey, I drive even faster in my BVDs.
I'm more intimidating in my BVDs.
BVD brand underwear. Whatever you do, that extra comfort helps you do it better.
I became a TV heartthrob in my BVDs.
America, do it better. Do it in your BVDs. At my age, I've done just about everything in my BVDs.
Final score, Pittsburgh Gladiators 45 and the New England Steamrollers 39. The arena football standings shape up this way. Chicago still unbeaten. Pittsburgh at 5-2. Detroit 4-3. LA 3-4. Those two teams will play this next week. New York at 1-5 and New England at 1-6. And once again, final score from the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island. Pittsburgh 40.